Your okay, your wire's back in. Okay, because I saw
Yeah, I'm back in.
I saw you.
I decided to bag up at the last possible second.
You boost bagged. Is it under
I'm now
control?
ready to start the podcast with my emotional support dog.
Okay. Has the unit been secured?
Yeah, man. This is like, honestly, I feel like I'm this dog's emotional support human.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, he's just a baby. There you go. There you go.
Okay. Yo.
If ever there was a game that I would say had been fated by the heavens to succeed, it would be Expedition 33. Have you seen today's news?
3.3 million.
On what?
Was it PC?
The 33rd day of sale.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
It has the mandate of French heaven.
The mandate of yes, French heaven. That's great. That's fantastic. I like that a lot. That makes me feel good. Cool. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of threes, how about we wait, unlike the previous weeks, and we hit spoiler cast full speed at the end?
Oh, I haven't beaten it.
Oh, well, I guess, or Act 2.
Act 2, spoiler cast.
Yes. Okay. Act 2.
If we have an Act 2 spoiler cast, then boy, we're right the fuck there. It's like we're standing with our tippy toes on the finish line.
Okay, so we can have an Act 2 spoiler cast, and let's just throw it.
So we'll have that in the third act of the podcast.
There you go. And we don't have to play the tippy toe game or whatever.
I hate that fucking game.
But also the front loaded like hour and a half segment of the last couple of weeks, which is just like, oh, fighting game talk, fucking FF14, whatever.
Man, French.
Baguette. Yeah. Okay. So in that
case, un baguette là. Okay.
Well, I mean, okay. Well, speaking of that, I don't know if you've caught wind, but I'll bring this to you. I don't know if you have any opinions.
I will have one.
Do you have opinions on shawarma?
It's already made its way to me.
Okay, has it? Good.
Yeah.
Okay,
so Montreal shawarma is excellent because we have a lot of Lebanese immigrants. Just straight up. There's a Lebanese population in Montreal that's quite high.
All right.
Therefore, they make the good shawarma. Period. That is like the end of that discussion.
We begin with the conclusion then. So for those who are catching up, this is very important. This is very crucial, important news. Shit is popping off between Ottawa and Montreal right now.
Ottawa can go fuck itself.
We are at arms, and it's quite simple. There was a game. There was a that took place, I guess, about a week or so ago in the Professional Women's Hockey League between the Ottawa Charge and the Montreal Victoire, right? And in the stands of said game, where tensions were already flying high, people are watching, playing, someone held up a sign from Ottawa, and that sign read the following text: Montreal shawarma is mid.
Oh, that's so fucking good. I love
fucking dare
holding
you.
up a sign at an event with controversial, like, you see like wrestling shows that just some guy in the fucking nosebleeds has like FF8 was the best one.
Yeah.
And that was Ben Starr, probably.
Push rage. Classic. And then confusing people. So someone had the audacity, someone had the gumption to hold up a sign that said Montreal shawarma is mid, and we are proud of our bagels, we are proud of our smoked meat, but motherfucker, shawarma here is fire. It is amazing, right?
It's
crazy.
It's such a stupid conversation because, like, no matter what region you are in the world, okay, are we talking about a cultural or ethnic food? Okay. Let's just scale the quality alongside the per capita population metrics and just be completely done with it.
But here's what
if you're gonna tell me that fucking Alberta has better Chinese food than British Columbia, you're a fucking stupid idiot. Are you fucking dumb? Okay. Are you an idiot moron?
But here's the interesting part, because after this came up and I went, Reggie, you lived in Ottawa for a bit. what the fuck is this on about? And he's like, I don't know. And I was like, wait, what? Why are you taking a pause here, right? And that led to me doing a little bit of investigative journalism, so to speak. Games and shawarma journalist.
Nah, just games journalism. Nah, food journalism. Yeah,
on the beat. I put my little hat on with the little press ticket, and I went and I looked into the situation. And here's what I found out. If you're talking about the bit about the population sizes and such, right? Ottawa is a small little. It's the capital, but it's one of those places.
It is the capital,
but it's one of those
very pretty.
But it's one of those cities. The way I describe it is Spider-Man could not swing. He would not have anywhere to go. He would be on foot. It would be rough, right? It is what it is. We over here have about twice the Lebanese population size of Ottawa. And what that has led to is when folks are opening up restaurants here, they're opening up shawarma joints, but they're also opening up traditional Lebanese cuisine places. And you have a lot of options because you're serving up millions of people. You have a large population and different, things to hit on. But with a smaller group of people, you kind of just got to play the hits, right?
Yeah.
So sticking to just shawarma in Ottawa is the only real business move because you're like, we're going to go with what most people in a smaller place are going to want to hit, which is that one quick wrap. It's the kind of the fast food takeaway bit,
Yeah.
But what that means is, even though they're the self-proclaimed shawarma capital of Canada,
are you fucking serious?
Self-proclaimed.
Oh my God.
But what that means is that they have been standing on just the shawarma game for a couple decades now. So they're getting a little big for their britches, right? They're starting to get a little cocky about it because they're like, we've just been working on this one thing, not the rest of it. And we're claiming, greatness, and we're claiming to be the peak of it in Canada, right? So there's over 200 shawarma places there apparently. And everybody's coming at it, coming hot. You're coming in there saying that Montreal shawarma is mid, as if Boustan does not exist right there on
dude, Paige looks at me like I'm crazy. The first thing I do when I go home is fucking ring up DoorDash, like, I gotta get some fucking Boustan. And then she's like, really? Boustan again? And then it comes in, and then she's like, give me some of that.
So
give me some of that.
Right?
Give me some of that right now.
And
give me some of that.
And the potatoes and the garlic potatoes with the sauce, right on the side there. Amazing. So the thing is that now this has spread out into ways because you do have that, and they have expanded and they have other Boustans, which, to be fair, are not as good as the original OG place.
It's the one next to fucking Geek and Cordia.
Yes, exactly. The Crescent one.
Come on.
But like,
everything on Crescent's better than everything else is not on fucking
But when
Crescent.
you talk about just like tons of random places like opening up as well, there's names like Amir is a place you can go in and get a shawarma, and they're usually like but they've spread out quite a bit. Basha is another place that's like but there's a bunch of them, you know what I mean? They're around, but like if you're
you could do way fucking worse than going to Amir for lunch.
That's what but it's just, if you're gonna get one, and if you're gonna talk about what the best in town is to offer what we've got, there's a couple places around that are not the walking into like the McDonald's kind of thing off the corner that you're gonna get a much better result in. For example, because I've like, Amir is the kind of place where they might do like, here's where you fucked up is if you get a shawarma and they put lettuce in it and then they heat the lettuce up. Right? No. That's madness. That's insanity. Get the fuck out. Shut them down. Go. Leave.
Get out.
You're not allowed.
Get out. I don't want this anymore.
And that has happened before. But that's worse than mid. That's a crime. However, the places that like have since come pop up here, we've got places Shawarmas with a Z opened up. There's Moods.
Shut up. Oh
right?
My God.
There's a couple different places that are like newer and have been around for a couple of years and set up shop. One place that's been crushing it that is currently being hailed potentially as the new king over here is Shawarma Original, which I then proceeded to get a couple of bites of to make sure to remind Reggie where his allegiances lie, right? And they do it with the thinner, like the sage bread, so it's not pita and it's crispy, and you got that thick. You're looking at it, and like the meat to wrap ratio is massive. The toppings and sauces are on the outside, right? Doing good stuff. And I the noises and faces he made were clearly like, you need to remember where you live and where your house is, sir. How dare you hesitate talking about Ottawa and what they got. Um, so we did a little of that, and I had some, and it confirmed that this is phenomenal shawarma from Original. But what I then discovered was there's a place that Ottawa kind of claims as their big top joint, which is Dunya, is shawarma, and they have recently expanded, and as of last September, they opened up a Montreal
Okay.
expansion.
So we're gonna have a direct competition
So
here.
now I'm curious. I'm like, now I might need to go kick a door down and politely order a shawarma and see how it tastes.
I think there's actually a way more interesting discussion to be had here, which also surfaced its way to me via a certain poll that you took about food locations.
I don't ever take polls, so when those things happen, that's just chat and mods doing.
Oh,
their
that
thing.
really?
Well, I don't
was
even
your stance not that the best places in town denote the overall quality of like a place's food, or the median?
So yeah, so that was a part of it. Yeah, because like I'm looking at Chatterino, and like when a poll pops up, it doesn't pop up there. So I'm like, I don't.
Yeah,
even,
no,
I have no idea what the polls say or
you'll
don't
argue
say.
amongst yourselves, I guess.
But that being said, yes, I disagree on the idea that the median should be called in here, but it is like the difference between a review of a game versus a buyer's guide suggestion, right? Should the price be included? Is this a decision where you're trying to, if someone wants to find out, should I buy this, versus just judging it as the art for what it was, right?
I don't know. Like I'm of the opinion that when people go to a town, like most people don't actually do any research whatsoever. They just wander around to eat things.
I don't know if they do or don't. I don't know. Maybe I think you do some, but you do research into like, let me go check out the activity place, like the Biodome or something, and then you go, all right, we'll just eat anywhere around it. Maybe that's a thing, right? I definitely care about looking stuff up and seeing what's around, and especially if there's places that are worth going to that are like great, or like I'm only gonna get one shot at. I do check out what the food situation is, and I want to go there. So to me, I'm like, the median of like, oh, if you walked in like off the street to a random place is such a toss-up, because you can walk into a horrible place with the worst shit ever, with heated lettuce and fucking, but you know what I mean, like whatever.
I tell you what, man, there is a core difference here depending on the person, right?
I guess so.
And so me and Paige used to do like a bunch of food research when we're out and about and whatnot, and you know what changed that? I'm only gonna walk this stroller 2 blocks.
Okay, I get that. Yeah, there's a change to the situation.
The food scenario is the 2 blocks from my fucking feet right now.
That and so like as as someone who's gonna be like, yo, what does the city got going? I'm gonna be like, yeah, let's hit up the spots that you stand on, that you claim are like why you should come here and what you should check out. If I guess, yeah, I can understand if you're looking for something that you're just like, I never want to plan where I'm going and I just want to walk in and like roll the dice. I just think that even in a city where like where there's enough good quality places, there's always going to be bad businesses that you can walk into in any populated area that's going to be terrible food, right? Like, I just feel that like the game of rolling averages in a way is like you're still experiencing, so there's so many chances of just getting something awful that I'm like, I don't even want to play that game. Why even yeah, I'm just not interested in that whatsoever. So to me, it's about like, if you say, yo, we got the best slice, if you say we got the best fucking chowder, you got the whatever, you hit up bodega sandwiches or whatever. Every city's got their own things. I'm just kind of like, what are the names you stand on, and like, where should I go check these out, and what's worth visiting? And so when it comes down to it, if you're going to talk about like Montreal shawarma versus Ottawa shawarma, I'm like, what do you bring into the table, right? My analogy was the Olympic team that we get together to represent the country is not a bunch of random people. Like, you don't randomly grab your population and go out and play the game. You grab,
that'd be awesome,
right?
That'd be so great. That would be so awesome.
The American fucking all-star team was crushing it with NBA stars, like that's how they do that. You represent your city, your country with the talent,
That would be I would see every hockey game in a season if it was like 20 random people picked from Moosehead versus 20 random people picked from Hamilton.
So you know what's funny is that like when it comes to boxing, there's a kind of middle ground on that where Olympic boxers are not meant to be multi-millionaire professionals, but they need to be like the best of the amateur circuit. You know, so you can be someone that goes through, has a lot of amateur fights and has a lot of experience, but like they generally tend to want to go, or they tend to pick like people that are not crossing that threshold into Don King fucking, you know, high profile crazy numbers, you know?
So losers.
The best of the amateur circuit, so to speak, right? But anyway, all this aside, like I'm just like, if you're putting those words out there, if you're speaking violence into fruition, right, you better come correct with it. And the fucking, if you want to put the little garlic sauce on top to this whole little thing, when I was asking Reggie, I was like, so what are the places, like, what do you remember, right? What's going on in Ottawa that they're getting so, you know, big about this? And he's like, there was a really good place that had great shawarma in Ottawa. I remember them. I was like, yeah, what were they called? Montreal Shawarma.
That's so fucking funny.
The name of the restaurant.
That is the funniest possible ending to this story conceivable. That is like.
Can you imagine?
That is the kind of punchline that if you wrote it that way would come off like shit because it's so on the nose.
I can't.
But since it's real, it's perfect.
I can't imagine having to say that out loud to somebody as you're defending Ottawa shawarma. And
what's your favorite? What's your fucking pizza joint? What's your favorite pizza joint in Chicago? Oh, New York style pizza.
Right? So with a straight face, you gotta fucking say that shit. Like, mwah, beautiful.
Oh, that's great.
I love it. Oh, God bless. Habibi.
Oh, that's amazing.
I love it. So yeah, that's what's going on. You know. You come with your fucking shawarma takes. You best watch the fuck out. And I'm gonna find out what's going on at this Dunya spot and see what's happening. Give it a fair shake. But yeah, just that's more to be continued.
Hey man, that's so fucking stupid. That's so fucking funny. Oh my god. Oh, that conversation is over. That is a done deal.
But
let
hey,
me ask you a question.
Our nation's capital, though, they got a nice lawn.
I don't want to hear I don't want to hear nothing from Ottawa. It's got Parliament is very pretty.
They got a nice building,
very beautified,
nice lawn, and their hockey team is they're anyway. All right, whatever.
It's about like I think Victoria is a little prettier personally. That's the capital of BC out here. It's on Vancouver Island. It's gorgeous, but. Yeah, Ottawa's very pretty, and the politicians go there.
I was gonna say like the team is called the Senators. Like that's your team is like literally, you know. But it's one of those spots where guess what? How many Americans? How many of you thought Toronto was the capital of Canada? Be honest. Just
be honest.
Show of hands. Right? Because I feel like that's a common regular mistake that happens because they're like, oh really? That's the city everybody talks about. That's the one I
don't know, man. I think that's like genuinely unfair. I'm gonna actually go to bat for our Yankee brethren here because
DC versus
the city
state
that matters is so consistently not the capital of wherever that it's crazy.
Because times change and
New
populations.
York City isn't the capital of fucking New York State. Shut up. That's a trick. That's a fucking trick.
It's because when the founding of it occurs versus where the people move over time, you know, it tends to change. But yeah, that's the thing is like, and Ottawa's not even in the top 3, you know?
No, man.
So
there's 4 cities in this fucking country that matter. Fucking Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal. You can swap them around however you like, depending on what you value. And then the fucking governments in Ottawa.
Yeah, Calgary's out there.
Yeah, whatever.
You know, that's I'd say that's on the list, but still.
They got steers and hats and shit.
Yeah. Solidus says Edmonton, spoken like a true fucking Ontario kid. All right.
No one would ever say
we're not gonna
no
yeah.
No one in this life.
Does Manitoba exist? Can you prove it?
Wooly.
Can you
If
can you prove
when
it?
Paige and I drove through the prairies, if had there not been a fucking sign denoting, hey, this is prairie number 1, this is prairie number 2, fucking nothing. Just couldn't be just fucking 1,000 kilometers of featureless terrain.
I have nothing against Manitoba, but I also have nothing Manitoba like
For Manitoba.
For like it's just it's I
it's
learned
nice
in
and
school that it
rectangular.
exists. This is true.
It's
Yes.
a nice clean rectangle.
No, it's not. That's a Saskatchewan. Manitoba's the one that has the extra on the side because it's attached to Ontario.
Oh fuck! Dude. Okay, fuck, dude. When
Oh
I said
my
the
god,
prairies,
you thought I was talking about Saskatchewan?
No, it's worse. I fucking forgot Saskatchewan existed entirely. I thought it went Ontario, Manitoba, Alberta, BC. I just deleted the fucking entire province from my mind.
Oh, no, that's our Wyoming. That's the rectangle. You know,
Bro, no one gives a shit.
Oh boy. All right. Yeah. And yet,
Hey,
and to be fair, my Wyoming opinions are learned from Garfield and Friends that years ago. So
it's wild because like I'm married to Paige, right? And she's from the States. And like I'll mention a state and she'll have like a really incredibly intense opinion about that state that I don't know literally a single detail about at all.
yeah.
And I'm like, why do they say Skibbity Riz, Ohio? And she's like, oh, fucking Ohio. I'm like, why? What?
Yeah.
And like she can't even like get it out. It's just this like oppressive vibe.
Like, oh, are you a masshole? Are you from Massachusetts? You call yourself a masshole, are you? Yeah, there's a lot of local shit, and I feel like the most important information we've learned about states we don't know anything about is when Pornhub put out that search bar.
Yeah, I mean that's
ranking.
interesting information. That's fascinating as hell.
Which states are into step and which states are into hentai? Let's go.
Yeah, man.
Important, crucial. All right.
Hey, you ever have something happen to you and then it becomes a discussion and then you start to bring it to other people and you have no idea if it's going to be like a big argument like vomiting into a purse or if it's going to be like a two sentence like, yeah, okay.
No, we're in agreement. That's sure.
Okay, so I'm going to be really brave here and talk about something that happened on one of my recent streams. And I want to talk to you about a definition of something and see where you fall on it. I would like to know what you consider pissing your pants.
Oh.
And what counts and what doesn't count.
Okay.
Now, let's set the stage. We can all agree, sitting, standing, walking somewhere with your fucking dick in your pants or your pussy in your pants and they're under the underwear.
Yep.
Right? And you just fucking blast it and it's going down your leg. That obviously is counted as pissing your fucking pants.
Yes.
Like there's no discussion there.
Yes.
Right? And we can all agree that if you're at the urinal and there's an unfortunate drop or two of splashback off the fucking thing of the urinal,
yes,
that's probably not pissing your pants.
Yes, correct.
That's just an unfortunate reality.
That's
now here's the question.
That's blowback. Yeah.
That's blowback. When you go to the bathroom and you forgot about the drawstring of your pajamas existing at all, and the stream exits your body and exits the pants, but hits the drawstring and splashes back on you, is that pissing your pants?
Did the drawstring... It's a part of the pants. You didn't add that yourself.
It is part of the pant, yeah.
That's pissing on your pants.
That's pissing on your pants.
That is pissing on your pants. Yes, you have pissed. Right. Well, you can add the extra word, but you have pissed on your pants. This is
okay. All right, we can agree on this. I would actually agree with that.
Yeah,
pretty clearly. Now here's the question. Here's the real thick of it. So this happened on the Deltarune stream. I fucking pissed all over the front of my pants.
Oh yeah,
I forgot the drawstring was there. And Paige was like, oh my God, this motherfucker pissed his pants. And my response was not even nah, My response was, it happens. To which she responds with, what the fuck? No, it doesn't. To which chat started to fucking fight as to, nah, man, what the fuck? Or, yeah, no, it happens.
Wait,
it occurs.
She went for the bit and then you agreed and then reversed positions? You were supposed to fight back on that. Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
I was supposed to be like, no, I didn't. Instead, I was like, nah, man, I'm a little pissed. Happens sometime.
Okay, this went in a completely different direction from where I thought you were going. I have to say, because I quickly did some math in my brain for a completely different scenario.
Oh yeah, what was your scenario?
Okay, so here's where I thought you were going. All right.
Yeah. Okay. This is fuck it. We're just inventing shit to talk about now.
When you say as an adult, right? Oh, I fucking pissed my pants, right? Now there's people there. Now there's a qualifier here, which is when people get drunk and wasted, you're just like, I don't know where I am.
I'm gonna give a free pass to anybody who's blackout drunk for anything.
That's just like, okay,
we're shitting and pissing and whatnot.
This almost doesn't apply because it's like, of course you pissed your pants, whatever.
I got drunk, I pissed my pants. Listen, man, drink less.
If you like are just your pants are up and whether you're going to the bathroom or not, or whatever's happening, if you give a little pulse out, right, a little pulse out of piss. Yeah. You pissed your pants.
Okay.
As an adult.
Yeah. Okay. I agree with that. I agree with that. Okay. No. Now, there's a follow-up. What about you're done at the urinal?
Yeah.
You're shaking it out.
Yep.
Shaking it out.
Yep.
Maybe if you're at home, maybe use like a toilet paper, just like dab it up. Make sure you're
do what
good.
You got to do. Take care of business.
But then you put it back.
And then the extra.
And because the pressure got released because of the way you put it back.
And the remainder.
And like that fucking single millimeter remainder that was hiding at the back.
Oh yeah,
just falls out.
So first,
you pissed your pants then?
You still did, and here's why: because you fucked up.
Oh shit!
You should know, because by now, if you're creating waistband tension under the dick, then you are cutting off some of the piss, and that's your fault. You should know better.
So this is
because if you kept creating any tension underneath, is going to hold back some that is going to surprise you when you tuck it back in. You need to be loose flowing as it all comes out so that you don't have that situation.
So this is the funniest thing, because in my life is now a circle, right? Because I remember being like, I didn't like using urinals because I like to use a stall to piss because I'd put my fucking pants down at my ankle. Like, feels good, man.
Feels good, man.
Right. And like, cause there's no fucking mistakes happening here.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
And then
Butters.
Like, I think it was my older brother was like, what the fuck? You just go to the urinal. Right. And then sometimes that last drop would fucking hit. I'd be super mad. And now as an adult, fuck it. All bathroom activities, completely naked. There's no reason to wear clothes in there at all.
Okay, all right. So that is an extreme.
Okay.
That is an extreme that we have taken. That I am not following you down that road. I'm quite content to say that I've learned how to manipulate the various boxers, shorts, and things.
No risks.
Okay, but the point of establishing that a single pulse, right? One Kegel out is pissing your pants as an adult is because if you are a child and you go, but stop it, you didn't piss your pants. As a kid, right?
You gotta take it easier on the kids.
Exactly. And so what I did in my head when you started introducing this is I gave myself, I said like, there is a reverse chart where the age you are has a higher threshold of piss allowed to come into pant before we say you have pissed your pants. If a 3-year-old goes and a little bit and stops, 3-year-old didn't piss his pants.
You did a good job.
You're good. You're good.
It's
right?
Fine. You're good.
If you're 6, double that perhaps, right?
Yeah.
And then we go up and up and up to the point where, somewhere in your teenager years or so, it's kind of like, okay, like you shouldn't, if are we getting to that level of like the whole thing is soaked? Because that as a kid is like, yeah, all right, you did, right? But I say like,
and I remember like I was like 8 or 9 years old and I had that fucking horrible dream. You know that fucking dream? The dream where you're going to the bathroom?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then you wake up and you're like, fuck, that was not a dream. I just pissed my whole life on. It's a fucking disaster. Now I'm just old enough to feel intense shame as I explain to my mom and dad that I got to wash all these fucking sheets.
Yeah, so I'm trying to create, like, I don't know what the formula would be, but it's almost just like whether you have to count it by volume or so, but age, the number of years you have been alive is just an inverse with the amount that's allowed to come out before we call it, yeah, you pissed your pants.
All right, I pissed on my pants a little bit.
On your pants. Yep, that happened.
Yeah, on my pants. And enough other people were like, yeah, it happens, that I was like, it happens.
Yeah. But
I changed my pants.
But all these
Jack couldn't smell,
all these technicalities where you're like, oh, you went over the waistband, or extra accessories got in the way.
No, I'm done with all that.
Or whatever.
I'm almost 40. I'm just gonna take all my fucking clothes off. I don't give a shit.
That is okay. Well, that'll do it. That'll do it.
Who's gonna stop me?
But to anybody else, I say, you got to learn the ropes. You got to learn the tech. You got to get up to speed with like what causes a dangerous situation to occur. You know what's awesome? You know what's fucking awesome? Like genuinely fantastic. So like I have the baby now, right? He's like almost 2. Now that like I have to teach him things, every mistake I make, you know what? That's a learning experience. I can just kick down the road so they don't. So really, I recently just pissed all over the front of my pants as a service to my little guy, so I can remember to tell him to watch out for the waistband. Sorry, the drawstring. There you go. Yeah,
that's good parenting.
I would even I'm even gonna extend it and say that like if you're out there like pissing in the woods or trying to like right in the snow or something, and you get and you don't calculate the fact that there's wind.
Yeah, wind's bad.
The elements are in play now.
Yeah, you don't want that.
And B, the stream drop off, you want an abrupt cut. But if it slowly trails off and that shit's coming back on you, that is still your fault, right? You should be using visual calculus, checking which way we're going, checking the external, and being ready for an abrupt stop to not let that fly back on you. And if you don't calculate all that shit, you take all the blame. You take the heat for that. You pissed on your fucking pants.
And also, there's a follow-up to this, which is when I posted this story. I posted this on Blue Sky. I don't give a fuck anymore. I don't give a fuck. I had a couple people be like, what, you don't sit down? I'm like, I would rather piss on my fucking feet by accident every single day of the rest of my life than sit down and fucking pee. Maybe that is like old school macho nonsense. I don't give a shit. I don't give a fuck. I would rather fucking drunkenly piss all over the fucking seat and fall down than sit down to pee.
I'm not. We can't listen. Last time this came up, a lot of people were out there talking about, nah, just sit down though. And I'm like, go fuck yourself. I will die. And we'll just leave it there. All right. I would rather die. And that's it.
You know that?
That's it. Wooly, I'm sorry. We're not going to agree. I don't care.
You know that scene in King of the Hill where Hank shakes George Bush's hand and he's got like a limp fucking handshake?
Sure.
And he's like, it just destroys his whole fucking thing. If I went over to your fucking house and I didn't realize you're in the bathroom, and I open up and you're like sitting down to pee, and I'd be like, and I close the door and we have an awkward moment, I'd be like, the podcast's over. I'm just deleting your number out of my fucking phone. I'm sorry.
It's I look, man, we don't have to psychoanalyze it. We don't have to go further, but no shame, no shade to anybody, but for me personally, I'm just not. It'd be how it is.
No, man.
On this bitch of an earth.
And you know what? I'm gonna be 90 years old, and the fucking Gen B or whatever the fuck they are. It's like, can you believe people used to stand up to pee? And I'm gonna be out there on my lawn going, yeah, I'm pissed right now. I'll on my lawn. I'll do outstanding. You can't stay, you fucking kids.
I will always remember in fucking Naruto when Akamaru is spinning around 360ing that shit, and I was like, damn, look at him go. That dog is crushing it. Psycho Crusher while just covering optimal, incredible. All right. Cool. I'm glad we've taken care of that.
I'm glad. So what, that thing we were talking about right before we started the podcast?
Yeah.
Like right before when we were talking about that, I'm like, man, we got to get all this
Oh,
did you piss
yeah.
your own pants talk
Oh,
out now.
it crossed my mind, and I just, I know exactly what you're thinking, 100%. Don't worry about it.
Mhm.
What's going on?
Oh, okay. So I'm gonna skip over the thing I actually spent most of my time with, which is I played Expedition 33, which
Yeah.
we'll save that discussion for later.
Yeah. I took a few days because I was working on some other shit I got, like, going on, and like fucking you blasted through.
I was just started being like, you know what, I'm just gonna fucking start streaming this, and well, I had this moment.
Did you make a decision to go like hard as fuck?
So I was like, because I'm looking at my schedule, right?
Mhm.
And my schedule right now, I'm on day like 19 or 20 of streams in a row.
Mhm.
And I have like 14 more to go.
Okay.
Because it's Doom Expedition podcast, Doom Expedition podcast, Deltarune, Doom Expedition podcast. Here comes fucking Night Rain. Okay, Night Rain is like, it's just like on and on and on and on and on, right? And then the Switch 2, and then Summer Games Fest. And
yeah. Okay.
And so I was like, okay, is there any possibility that I could possibly conceivably beat this game by the time fucking Night Rain comes out?
I see. Okay,
The answer to that question was well, if I help put the baby to bed and then just go right back to it, I can just fucking blast it.
Okay.
And that represented a really genuinely hilarious interaction between my wife and I, in which she's like, honey, you're working a lot, you're streaming a lot, I don't want you to get sick, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like this, this is like 19 days in a row. It's like, maybe that's a lot, right? I don't know, whatever. And I'm like, okay, I promise I will be in bed at 1 a.m., which is not too late, right? It's late, but it's not too late, right? As long as I am not doing this highly specific thing the story seems to be leading up to near the end of the second act.
Okay.
So it's 12:55. And I'm doing this highly specific thing. And then Joel raids me with like 3,000 people. Thank you, Joel. That's Varg Skeletor. And then I get text messages from wife going, keep going. Just do it. Just go.
Okay. So listen, raids are a really cool feature that can allow people to check out other people and encourage folks to see new folks. And that's all great. They are also a gun.
They are a gun.
And there have been a couple of times where at the end of my battery life, where I'm about to fucking punch out, and you get a raid.
Here comes 3 times your current audience.
You're just like, oh, because now you also have to be like, hello, welcome everybody. I swear to God, I'm not usually this dead,
And you're like, oh fuck, and you have to go into the pitch.
Yeah, it's just,
First thing I do, bam.
Yeah, hostile raids.
Dog in a bag. Check this out.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, and also I felt really bad because like, to anyone who was in Joel's stream when he raided me, I was doing some spoiler ass fucking super fucking spoiler shit.
Oh well, fuck.
In the dead ass middle of that raid, and there was no way to take that off the fucking screen or warn nobody.
There's nothing you can do about that. No, I mean, involuntarily, Although I think, no, the warning before you click OK is just about like mature viewers. You can't be like, oh, spoiler.
Yeah, it's just like, hey man, there's some dicks or whatever.
Yeah, back to the days of day one, Dark Souls 3, final boss spoiled on the PlayStation.
That's the worst I've ever seen to date.
Yep. The game itself.
The worst one,
game itself. But anyways, okay, so yeah, we'll talk about Expedition 33 towards.
So yeah, that's been the most of it. This morning, I took a look at the Tiny Build indie showcase. That was a sponsored stream. Hashtag sponsored. Which they showed off a couple things. They showed off a cool dinosaur game called Ferocious, which I played after streams very early. They showed off a game called The King Is Watching, which is like a kind of like a Loop Hero, but like basically your peasants only work the tasks you give them when you're physically looking at them.
Okay.
And there was another game I played called Drill Core, which is fucking fantastic. Which is it's a demo out now, and it's coming coming out of early access in a couple, I think a month. Where you're basically just running like automated Mr. Driller underneath the platform, but every night you got to pull your little dudes up, and then you play Missile Command with bugs coming down, and so you are having to run. How much do I upgrade the little dudes digging versus how much am I upgrading the turrets that are protecting my machinery? As you are like RTS base building on the center platform.
Okay,
it's really cool.
You said ferocious dinosaurs. I was like, oh, is that just like a dinosaur simulator? And then I see a man with a gun.
Man with a gun survival game. I got killed by a scorpion.
Gotcha.
That game is very early.
Okay.
So there's that, and then me and Paige went through the Delta Rune chapters 1 and 2 again. Because hey, fucking glad we did that, because turns out me and Paige didn't remember like anything about chapter 2.
Oh,
like nothing.
With like Queen and Birdo and
yeah, I know we remember Queen and Birdley, right? But like we didn't remember and we remember Spampton. But like the actual sequence of events, or like what the stinger and like for the next chapter was, and like the meta plot, like nothing, like absolutely nothing. So hey, those Toby Fox games pretty good. It's also really strange because I remember we did chapter 1 and 2 in like single sittings. You were like just blowing through it, and it's like that was 5 and 7 years ago. Yeah, those were very different Pats and Pages.
Okay.
That was a different world. Because now we're like checking the fucking watch and texting the babysitter, going, "Oh, can we go through 30 more minutes, Mom?" Like basically.
So the difference for me here is like I think I need a recap as well, but I would just sooner click through the old LP and just like get the beats quickly instead of like doing a full run through again, you know?
So yeah, but no. Like doing it seems like it has more value. Also, I hate watching myself. I hate it. I fucking hate it. And it's for two reasons. One is that it emphasizes to me how much I am a fucking Skinner box in human form. So like something will happen in the game, and then I will say something out loud while watching it, and then Pat will say it out loud in the stream.
Okay.
And I'll be like, oh, I'm a fucking input-output machine. I'm like, you can design scenarios to make me say certain things.
Okay, well, have you ever had the opposite, which is way more terrifying, where you watch something and then you respond to something that you see, and then you in the video says the complete opposite thing?
Yeah, I hate it.
That's way worse, in my opinion.
Super angry past me for being so stupid.
I'll take the Skinner box over the like, what the fuck?
Yeah, so both of those interactions are negative. I don't like it.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't like it.
Okay, fair enough.
What else going on? Not a whole lot. We had the boy very briefly come on stream in audio form only during one of the streams, so he could sing us Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and so he could tell everybody what Daddy's noise was.
Okay.
So Paige asks the boy, "Hey little man, what's Daddy's special noise?" And every single time goes like, "Thanks, bud."
So
thanks, dude.
Confirmation that there actually is a baby then, because up to now it could be an elaborate bit.
Oh, I mean, he beat the wall boss with Rusty in Armored Core 6 on stream once. So you didn't watch this, but I was streaming and Paige had to go run an errand. So I grabbed like the little 6-month-old guy and I turned the camera off because, of his privacy. And then I audibly gave him the controller. And said, okay, everybody, the baby is playing now.
Yes.
And then he beat the wall boss with Rusty.
You know who else beat the wall? Snoop Dogg. Yeah,
that's true.
While lighting up, actually. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
And so, there's the proof there.
For sure.
Aside from that, not all that much. just kind of drilling away at Expedition 33 and hoping to get my computer fixed. So I don't know if I talked about that here, but my Intel 13th generation CPU is dead. It has the rot or the rust.
Is that the living room one?
Yeah, it's the living room one. Yeah.
Okay.
So Intel 13th gen CPUs were made badly, and a little bit of oxidization crept into some of those models, which meant that over time it will essentially rust out. And I have been noticing like just catastrophic stability issues on that PC that have only been getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. I contacted Intel, detailed my troubleshooting steps, and provided my serial number, and they said, "Yeah, no, you're covered for full warranty replacement," and they sent me a new CPU.
Oh, that's nice.
So I'm gonna get my computer guy to swap it out.
I know.
This week.
Was that an extra, or was that like just included in service?
That's included in service.
Oh, okay. Wow. Cool. Damn.
The only thing I had to do is I had to pay $25 in shipping, so that we would do. There's two ways you can do it. You can send them your faulty CPU, and they can send you a new one back, or you can pay $25 and they'll send you the new one first, and then you ship the faulty one back.
Okay.
Which is a very big difference in terms of a primary computer use.
Yeah, I made a decision like maybe fucking 20 years ago when Future Shop was like, "Do you want to pay for an extra warranty?" And I was like, "No, I don't." Because these things, it never ends up being the case. And when you do, and you have to go through this like
RMA process,
the RMA process, the interrogation room, returns and shit. And like the one time I ever went through like with the manufacturer warranty was when my Game Boy, I had a Game Boy Color back in the day that like I sent back to Nintendo, and they just did, it wasn't a replacement, they cleaned it and then repaired and sent it back. But like but it took so long, and it was just so not worth it that I was like, fuck this.
I gotta say, Intel's customer service on this has been excellent.
Cool.
I got a rep that would email me every 2 days with different steps, and they'd be like, "Can you send us like your BIOS information?" I'm like, "Yeah, here you go." And then they filled out my customs form for me and said, "Just print this out and put 3 copies of it in the box, and then use this sticker."
Okay.
And then that's that. So that'll be fixed up.
Nice.
So next week I'll talk to you about FF14 for the first time in forever. But because I tried to like, oh, maybe I'll play half an hour of the game after the baby's gone to sleep. Crash. It's a fun experience because you get to see what games are really vulnerable to a fucky CPU. And one of those games is FF14. Baldur's Gate, fucking rock solid. Never crashes no matter what part of my PC is dying. FF14 crashes every time I alt tab and every 20 minutes.
Strange. Huh. Well, I'm glad that you had a decent customer service experience there, because I'm
very happy with it. I'll let you know how it is resolved next week.
I'm very reluctant and traumatized from that I'm just like, I'd rather just skip the whole process. Fuck that whole thing.
Yeah.
Then again, the different ways, the different use cases for my PC stuff is, I if I could fucking preserve it in a deep cold, never moving, all atoms have stopped moving
hot swap
state.
Cables constantly, so that's not really a viable solution.
No, it is not.
I'll be streaming Expedition 33 and Night Rain this week over at twitch.tv/PatStaresAt. Go look at that. That's what's going on with Pat.
As 14, they started their new chapter and stuff. Like, have they? How many events past the beginning of the new era are they on?
The 7.0 is the expansion, and then there's 7.1 and 7.2, and today is 7.25.
Okay.
And they always go up to the X, whatever the expansion number is, 0.5. So we're now halfway through the expansion as of literally today.
So Woke Lamau 0.5. Is that
Woke Lamau 2.5?
Okay. Whatever happened. Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. All right. I will grab the baton, so to speak. The only things so yeah, we talked about shawarma. Hey, the Montreal Street Comic Festival happened, and walked around, um, showing Fox Kate around town a little bit. And we checked out some of the booths, and yeah, I had a nice little time. The Ponto-kun artist was there, and this time around was like I went in to like get some more merch. And for those who don't recall, Ponto-kun is the construction cone mascot of Montreal
Forgot.
that is
I fucking
around.
forgot.
Yeah, and you basically have the little cute little construction cone that you see everywhere in the city, and this one's got eyes on it, and it's like having adventures all around town. And like ever since the clip, and then other people have seen her at a couple other shows and was like, hey, I heard about you on this podcast and stuff. So she's like, oh, hey, what's up, and got to be like, yo, like this is perfect, right? And like one of the things I love the most about it is that like the little construction cone is not bitter or angry or anything. It's like delightfully enjoying itself and having fun in the most innocent way, which is just like perfect, because what the thing is in and of itself is the statement, you know. So I got a little bag and some other stuff, and I was like, can I get some of those little eyes, because I want the little clear eye stickers, so that if you see a cone, you can go just Pontos everywhere. And she's like, well, I can't really sell them because we can't encourage people to go, deface whatever legally or so, but maybe that give them out sometimes. Maybe you can, maybe there's other ways we can figure, but I just want those little cute rare cartoon eyes to just stick on a construction cone around the city, you know. And I don't remember the name, but Ponto Kun has a little buddy, which is like a little pylon that also is a little more. It's like a little grumpy, a little grumpy pylon as well. So, the city mascot of construction continues. It's great. Um, I want this to get like so much more big and like established, so that it's massively hilarious and like innocent, but so clearly embarrassing in its existence, to the city as an actual thing, it'd be wonderful if we could go to a downtown event or whatever and see someone in a giant construction cone costume just taking photos with the kids or whatever. Anyway, played a bit more of Kill Knight, and not much to say there, except it's exactly what I was describing. It's a whole lot of fun, and there's just still standing by recommending that game. Really cool, and the rhythm of when you get better at it and managing all the different imminent threats is a whole lot of fun. It has when you're kind of surrounded and you're surviving and whatever, and in a lot of cases I think the reverse difficulty curve.
And hold my hand up.
Mm-hmm.
I reached out to a Lebanese friend of mine.
Oh.
During our shawarma discussion.
Oh.
So we have
I believe I know who.
We have a weigh-in from a Montrealer who is Lebanese. Ottawa probably. Scene here has gone downhill. So there's a fucking wrench in that fucking conversation.
I will continue to investigate. I will continue to get to the bottom of this. All right?
You're going to have to go to Ottawa.
I'm trying to avoid that outcome. I've been this entire this entire setup has been to avoid that outcome, but we'll see where this goes. What was I saying? It's pretty. Anyway, good game, very fun, very cool. But managing the hordes coming at you, where you have the reversed difficulty curve of like a Gungeon or style game, where your guns suck at first, so it's harder to survive everything coming at you. But then as you get better and stronger weapons, the things melt away. But then more resilient things start coming as well. It's pretty cool, and you kind of have these moments where like the difficult enemies that are in the horde, this is also very Doom Eternal. The difficult enemies, once you have the solution to deal with them, you're looking forward to them showing up because you're like, that's the one where if I parry it, I get a big slowdown. That's the armored enemy that's hard to kill, but if I kill it with this weapon, I get healing back, you know? And so you kind of are just like surviving and killing through these hordes while looking out for particular types of enemies to like spend your resources on, which, you know, meleeing a certain thing is a type of resource as well. Yeah, it kind of forces your brain to be playing two games at the same time, you know? It puts you in the run away from everything and kill the immediate surrounding wave coming at you is like an autopilot. And then on a second layer is like, how am I doing with building up my meter for all these different mechanics and surviving with life, you know?
Does it create that the thing that Vampire Survivors does, where you hit a certain, like, you crest the hill and entire forms of enemies become non-enemies, they just become visual noise?
Entire forms of enemies become, yes, 100%, that does happen. But
so now it becomes like picking out the danger from the chaff.
100%. The weakest level enemy, by the time you're finishing off the level, you've powered up to such a degree that they just melt when you look in their direction, right? But there's enough higher tier enemies coming out by that point in the survival run that it's the challenge is still there, right? And I would say that, like, you know, there's like these 5 levels, you kind of, each one like ramps it up quite a bit. And like by the time you hit like the 3rd one, I feel like, you know, you hit that point where you're like, oh, it's almost over, time to send all the bullshit at you. Like that moment occurs, but then it just keeps happening for like the next half of the level, you know, and you're like, oh fuck, like you really want the player to, you know, die, get some currency, level up, unlock some weapons, and pick a strategy for like coming back in with, you know, perhaps like the melee weapon that is gonna do a full 360 blade around you instead of the one that just cuts 3 times in front or something, you know. Cool game though. And then yeah, beyond that, Expedition later, we are in we're wrapping up Cyberpunk, and right now just like spending a lot more time doing Johnny quests, hanging out with Keanu Reeves, and what a great, I've been mentioning it beforehand, you know, but like what a great sidekick to have in this game, because it's the most not Kim K, like in Disco Elysium, Kim is the reliable friend that is there to catch you and remind you that
no,
like,
Johnny sucks ass.
He's so flawed and fucking, but like Kim is there to like catch you and you can rely on him and he's your bro and he like makes it okay for you to fuck up, and Johnny is actively trying to make you worse. You know, and like you spend enough time being like, will you shut the fuck up, you know, but you still like, but there's a part of it where you're like, okay, and like, but we're all kind of flawed and fucked up, and he has his insane shit, and you have to still go with him to a degree, and like you're connecting on some levels, but his flaws are just so apparent and horrendous, you know. But I have a hard time picking out other characters from other games that are like him that have had this experience. I don't know if perhaps in other Western RPGs there's been characters like this, but I feel like the spectrum of like, you know, reliable and then like fuck you, I hate you, and then there's like flawed, super fucked up on in the side of like I can't rely on you, but actually there's charm in that, you know, is like a weird in between space or so. You know, if I think across the cast of characters you hang out with in Mass Effect or KOTOR, you know, and any BioWares or such, and the little beginning of the Baldur's Gate 3 that I played too, I kind of am like, there's a you're okay, get in, or I can't get away from you fast enough vibe that you kind of slot everybody into, you know. He's a different case.
I think both of those are a great vibe for Johnny, because he's stuck with you and you can't fucking get rid of him, and the story is about how you can't fucking get rid of him. So like I kind of love Johnny, but I also want him to go fuck himself. Like he's such a stupid asshole.
Yeah, like HK47 is made the way he's made, right? And
He's
like,
my baby girl, man.
I can't blame HK for being HK. It's just the
No,
way it
man,
is.
I make a fan cam at HK.
Yeah, like
I'll be your meat
HK47.
bag for Christmas.
HK47 is like consistent and real about what he's about, but he's not petty about it. He's like he's a true believer, you know?
Yeah.
And like Johnny gets fucking petty, man, you know? It's oh god, it's great. It's great. He is a kind of Jimmy. Oh, there's a thought. Is he,
He's a true believer in a cause that doesn't actually exist.
And he runs from responsibility, but like you expose him for it and he kind of mopes, you know? Like it's just, yeah, I don't know. It's a whole bag, you know? It's something interesting to talk about. One of the most interesting things, you know? And your comparison point for the other people you're hanging out with in that game, you know, you got Jackie, who's a good guy, and you know, you've got like Takamura, who you're like, well, all the homies, all the main questline homies are like, okay, you know, you're hard around the edges for your backstory, but you're generally a pretty noble person, and you're looking out for, you know, best outcomes here, you know, and you just hear, and like there's a lot of NPCs where you're like, oh, this could go either way because I'm trying to get a read on what you are in Night City. But then, you know, you get your like River style characters, which is like this cop you hang out with, where you're like, you're fine, but you're kind of a Karth, you know, a little bit, and you're just like, and then there's the romance element where you're like,
I think it's so amazing that Karth has become like a fucking noun and an adjective. And everybody knows what it means.
You know exactly what I mean. That's it. But that's it, you know, and so yeah, I find Johnny's a nice standout, and getting Keanu in to play like just a kind of a random bro would have been a big waste, but here he's playing something quite interesting, you know. A quest line in particular that we just had was like, you know, him coming across, in the game you come across like another anarchist messaging you, and you're going on this fetch quest, and you're like, it kind of sounds like bullshit, but you're kind of not sure where it's going or what's happening, and he immediately hates the idea of some other anarchist just kind of like chirp it up, you know, and then you're like, wait, but is it because it's just the words or whatever, and it's just this funny kind of thing. But me though, but then the other person is just full of shit, and then it is a whole gag, and there's a great payoff for it, you know, where you can you're questioning it because you're like, this is a bullshit thing where the other anarchist is just saying the words that would get the people going without having any meaning behind it. But when you see Johnny getting jealous or angry initially, you can believe that he's actually just like, no, but me though. Like you second guess that feeling in him because he's so full of shit.
It's believable that he would be like that.
100%, you know. So it could have gone either way. It's a great one. Fun stuff there. So yeah, we'll check back in a bit later. Yeah, so the Cyberpunk will continue today, tomorrow, and on Thursday as well. And then on Saturday, hey, as announced online, gonna fucking jump
on that internet.
Are you ready to triple team the Duke's Dear Freya?
I'm so ready, man. I had a great experience where they put that trailer out. And they were like, oh, look, honey, it's the Duke's Dear Freya. And Paige just looked at me like I was insane. And I was like, you fought that. And she's like, no, I didn't. And I'm like, no, you beat that. You beat that up. She's like, no, I didn't. I'm like, it's the spider with the two heads on his butt. She's like, no.
She didn't?
No. And I'm like, okay. Okay, here's footage of you killing its ass.
Yeah.
And she's like, huh, crazy.
Oh, is it just because a spider boss is kind of a forgettable concept? Unless it does something
it's because
really
if Paige gets like 2 years away from a game.
Oh, okay. Okay. Damn.
So she was like, I don't know if I can play Night Rain, and it seems pretty tough. And I'm like, Paige, you actually beat like 80% of these bosses already. She's like, I did? I'm like, you absolutely did. 100%. Definitely. By the way, Night Rain comes out on Thursday.
Yeah.
They just announced that.
Oh, okay.
It's not Friday. It lied.
Well,
it's Thursday.
We are playing on Saturday, so
yeah, it just means that we'll have a little extra time to juice our boys up with whatever the fuck the permanent progression shit is in there.
Have you seen the new classes and stuff?
I saw that they put a Sekiro katana user in that motherfucking game.
Okay, so here's what's about to happen. All right, that Sekiro katana night fuck is about to get everybody wiped. Because
I saw
how many
that,
people are gonna pick
like,
this parry katana user and get everyone killed trying to do cool shit?
Welcome to the worst guy on your team.
The worst.
99
I feel
times
it.
out of 100.
Like, unless that parry window is a huge counter window, that sword fucker is getting everyone killed trying to be cool.
So
solo game.
There's something really great about From Software games because you can always see the little piece that they took from something else to use as part of the buffalo. So I'm sure you used the, what was it called, the deflecting hard tier.
Yeah.
At some point in Shadow of the Erdtree, and it was like, wow, that is the Sekiro system being transplanted into Elden Ring for 5 minutes because Elden Ring is not goddamn Sekiro, and so it's like actually crazy powerful, and that's what I used to beat the final boss of Shadow of the Erdtree, right? And so I look at this and like I'm looking at this fucking character that is built out of the deflecting hard tier. Right? It is that upgrade made manifest into a full character archetype.
Yeah.
And like it's a little circle.
And it's just funny, the design is like it's a Western knight, but it's just holding his katana because fuck off. You know?
Yeah, and it turns into a wolf man.
Yeah, everyone, you're either gonna be 3 of that guy all running in 3 different directions, or you're gonna be 1 and it's gonna be Leroy Jenkins the whole time.
Yeah. My desire is like, well, if I'm gonna play solo, that would be a great character to play and practice with. But if I'm gonna hop on with the gang, maybe, I don't know, the archer or the guardian or something that has more team synergy than none might be a better choice.
Okay. I am looking at that motherfucker that pops a wall out of the ground like a earthbender. Yeah. The earthbender looks cool. And it has
the I'm gonna take a hit and then I'm gonna headbutt you to death.
Yeah, the earthbender looks pretty rad.
So you know what I love about Night Rain is that I have a really deep feeling that they're lying to us massively about what's actually in that game. Because
what is there to lie about after they've shown Dark Souls bosses?
So they've shown Dark Souls bosses and they're like, there's a bunch of stages. But the thing that gets me is that the menu for picking your character has 8 characters on it, and they fill up exactly half of the selection screen.
Okay.
There is like a perfect amount for 16 characters on that screen.
But here's the thing. It's not hard to just mix and match all the equipment, weapons, items, and builds.
And give them one ability.
You know, you can have a humongous character select screen there, right? And we said it last time, but if they figured out like whatever every time they make a game, it's with the different publishers, right? But like Dark Souls is Bandai, right?
Namco.
So yeah, Bamco gave the okay for their bosses, so why not their characters, right? Like you can definitely imagine seeing that screen fill up, and it would not be hard, man. 2 moves and a super, that's it.
I'm extremely excited to play Dark Souls Arcade.
Dark Souls Arcade, man. Straight up. We called it Elden Ring, but it really wasn't, you know? Or those, but also the Elden Ring fucking NPCs throughout that game too. Like, at some point, the question has to be, are we going to sell you the ability to play as some of the cool cast members from the game, right? Blythe comes in.
Hold on. How much have you been following the game's coverage? Because they're doing that.
Oh shit.
Like in the last Night Rain thing, they said, by the way, you're going to be able to get unlockable skins for the archetypes.
Skins of NPCs.
Yeah, so like the Guardian will be Solaire.
Okay.
And they showed up a ton of them.
Yeah, I kind of meant fully playable, you know. That's cool. That's
I
cool.
just started to type in Dark Souls Night Rain
Dark
into
Souls.
YouTube to
Then
get
the
fucking.
marketing has worked. Mission accomplished.
That's really funny.
That's fucking great.
That's the launch trailer overview. I'll pull up the fucking
Okay.
screenshot.
It's a bit like Smash in the sense that like I want the characters' moves as well in lines, not just the
It is
costume.
absolutely
but that's
Smash.
Cool. Yeah. Skin is cool. Actual playable character would be phenomenal. You know? And I think to be fair too, like I've talked to enough people and I've gotten people that are like excited for what they're seeing, and I've also gotten people that are like on the fence, you know, which understandably it's like, yeah, let me get my hands on it. Oh shit, yeah, there you go. That's Dark Souls 2, man.
Yeah, that's Dark Souls 2, man. That's guy on the left is from Dark Souls 3, and then there's Solaire, straight up.
Yep. Okay. They know what they're doing. Yeah, they know what they're doing. Let's fucking cash in. The I think
it is from Software Smash Brothers.
So the bit here where like people are kind of like, yeah, I'm not sure if the gameplay is what I'm looking for or so. Like you can win some over by just putting some all-stars in that fucking cast, you know.
Yep.
And yeah, you've got 4 games worth of them to pick from. You know, and obviously we're not going to see anything owned by Sony or by Sega, but regardless, you know, there's a ton. Cool. Yeah, we're gonna jump on Night Rain, and I'm gonna hook up a second.
Me, you, and Reggie. We're all gonna have our own setups.
Yeah, I'm gonna put a second PS5 up over here, and we'll.
Man, they did an interview recently where they're like, yeah, we didn't realize how many people would want duos. I'm like, you're fucking insane. That's like the #1 form of co-op.
Crossplay would be nice. They don't do it, but it would be nice if it were ever a thing. The only problem I imagine though is that like they can't get around that PC cheating shit, right? Like
no.
Dark Souls games and PC cheats are just like, yeah, crossing that.
They're like butter and butter.
It'd be so nice as a feature to have, but that part, you know, is you don't want to have people getting their entire saves corrupted on a fucking console, even worse, you know, as a result of that. So.
I mean, I'm going to be blunt. I'm going to play 99.9% of this game completely solo. Because it's like, do I have 2 people that I know ready to go right now? No. Okay, I'm going to launch in solo. Like,
I can see myself going solo to learn the map and flows, and then going online for like, you know, real runs, so to speak. For
4 runs, and then you're going to go, oh my god, I got so much further by myself. These motherfuckers. Holy shit.
Sure.
So somebody in the chat says hope it balances for solo. We actually saw this happen when I was at your place and we played the Night Rain beta. Is that when 2 people dropped and I was the only person in a match, all the damage and aggression
scaled.
Like math just scaled down. Like enemies became less aggressive, health values changed. Like it's fine.
Which is incredibly, that's very impressive considering like back in the day, it would have been like, well, it loaded in the 3-player version and they died, so now you're fucked, you know?
So fucking get good.
Yeah, being dynamic about it is dope.
Someone in the chat asks me a really good question. Why do I think all randoms are bad at video games? Because I play games online sometimes.
I think you have sometimes you get good, sometimes you get bad, but my overall experience solo queuing, I haven't spent an insane amount of time doing it, so I don't have like, you know, whatever thousands of hours to my name on things, but I can say that like the bad experiences have been pretty abysmal. The mid ones are there, whatever, but like queuing up with people, you know, always good. No, don't leave it up to the air. Why walk into a random restaurant when you can look it up in advance and go to a place that you know is reputable?
I've played a number of MMOs. I've played like 10 different Call of Duties. I've played Apex Legends. I've played Titanfall. I have played et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And things that require teamwork that use non-specific tasks. Players that don't, it's fucking bad. It's not. No.
And
I played League of Legends. Don't tell me that Why do I think people are bad at games? I've played League of Legends and Monster Hunter and fucking like.
Yeah, so like when I went back into Titanfall 2, like for I was playing it for a while there last year. And like going back on that, for example, you can like just go crush it on your own and help your team and be fine. Like you can go jump around. Like I like playing that game in such a way where I like to be a good teammate, so I'll grab batteries and jump on our partner's shoulders and I'll reload people who are low on batteries. I'm comfortable enough on foot outside of a Titan that, you know, I'm down to just go do that busy work while also getting kills and shit. But you can completely contribute to the team by not paying attention to any of that if you want to or so as well. And so it's not as big a deal. The game there does not punishing you for the teamwork falling apart, so to speak. You know, but it's a fucking deathmatch shooter, right?
I think folks are mentioning Helldivers are making a good point. I think Helldivers is designed so that people who go off on their own can get things done on their own in a very significant way. Like if I had to be really specific, it's not about individual player skill. It's about the reality of team-based play and cooperation in general that makes me a little annoyed. And I always used Apex Legends as the all-time peak of my hatred of this, where loading into a 3-man match with Apex Legends, my choices are to go on my own, despite the fact that we're a team, or chase after one of the team members the entire time because they are playing a solo game in a team and they're just going to go their own way as fast as they possibly can. So my team experience is actually chasing someone down for 20 minutes to provide backup for their bad choices.
Yeah, I've had versions of that, but I guess the difference for me is that like it's not so like binary. I've had fine games where I've loaded in with randoms in it and enjoyed it. It's just it's suboptimal to playing with people I know, but it's not enough to get in the way of it. So for Night Rain's purposes, like each of those runs that I did throughout that weekend, yeah, I had great co-op runs. I had some terrible like quitters. You know, it was just a mixed ass bag. And at the point where I'm still like, well, whatever, I'm learning the game, so I'm not too concerned about those outcomes, and I'm fine to just kind of go explore the map a bit and figure it out. But when a run turns sour and you're kind of like, okay, well, I'm not going to beat this one, you just kind of switch your priorities up a little bit. But yeah, it doesn't ruin the idea of the entire game for me, though. You know, I'm still actually down for it.
I recently watched 2 videos that kind of delved into this topic. One was by Dan Olson over at Folding Ideas called "Why It's Rude to Be Bad at World of Warcraft."
Shout outs to Dan. He's a mountain boy with me.
Which is about an hour and 30 minutes of academic breakdown of the realities of like instrumental tasks in World of Warcraft. It's applicable to all MMOs and all team-based games, but it's specific to WoW, and basically goes into the reality of like how this is the way things are done has completely ruined World of Warcraft, and instrumental practices about how things are supposed to be done become so enshrined that they then eventually become automated. And if you're not automating them with like call outs that are like robots for you, you're ruining it and just ruined it.
Oh, that what you just described is my understanding of all MMOs.
Yeah, no, that's not. That's World of Warcraft.
Okay. But is
World of Warcraft
but
has allowed add-on culture to break its core mechanics because so many people use add-ons that tell you where to stand and where to go that they had to design encounters with the assumption that you're using those add-ons, which then means you have to use those add-ons.
Okay. Yeah.
Nearly all other MMOs draw a line in the sand somewhere that is before that.
So I would the weird thing about that is that like why wouldn't Blizzard have eventually just incorporated those as quality of life features into the game eventually, right?
Well, the add-on that tells you where to stand to break every single boss fight.
Oh, like that. Oh, I thought you okay. Because when my old roommate used to play like WoW and stuff, there was a lot of like HUD organizing
Yeah, no,
stuff.
now
And
we're in the HUD nightmare in which like it'll overlay where all the boss's attacks are going to land, and it
oh
will call out to
wow,
individual
okay,
characters
okay, okay.
what spot to jump in. And
Jesus,
it's like
yeah,
you're
yeah. That's
basically
not what
doing
I
a dance
meant.
that a robot tells you.
No, 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 that's not what I meant. Okay, that's crazy.
Um
But I because
what
the
FF14 does, for example, is they look at what's the most popular add-ons that people aren't supposed to use, ban the people they catch using them, and then roll them into the next patch. Because you're not supposed to use add-ons in FF14. It's against the TOS.
okay,
But that doesn't mean the devs don't know what add-ons are being used because they're popular.
yeah, I think the part where I was thinking of when you were describing how like the with 14 the bit where like you have a role to play and like this is how you fulfill that role, and if you are
Yeah.
subpar at that, like this is a problem, like you are a problem, and
Yeah.
because like there's a straight expected line of performance, and
And
you know
the way that a game like 14 gets around it is that like you have multiple orders of difficulty. And it's like if you're doing a normal or easy difficulty thing, then it doesn't matter. You're gonna fucking beat it. Like you could be the shittiest motherfucker in the world. You'd be playing with one hand, doesn't matter, right? But once you hit certain like it would essentially be a challenge difficulty. It's like why are you even coming into the challenge difficulty if you're not here for challenging content?
right, yeah, the
Like, why did you join up with me at the Super Battle Opera 3v3 tournament if you don't know how to play Street Fighter? Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Well, so what it actually sounds like to me is like playing Rock Band, where you're like, oh, the person on bass is like dragging the score down, but everybody else
Yeah.
has to play up perfect. And you know, if someone fucks up one note, everybody's that much closer to game over or whatever, right? But
And
there is a thing to that, admittedly, where playing that in a room with playing Rock Band in a room with other people, and you're all like hanging on and whatever different difficulties, is like there's a tension and fun to that. But if I had to queue up with like 30 people and everybody had to play their instrument perfectly, that would just feel unfun and angry and frustrating, right? That's the difference between the two there, you know.
And then I watched about an hour of a different 90-minute video by Nakey Jakey, who put out a video called "How Counter-Strike Took Over My Life." And he basically goes into detail about like the reality of like queuing up and the way elo works in Counter-Strike, and describing how like he won his 10 placement matches required to put himself into the elo for 3,700 of 30,000, and loads into his first real match and he's excited to do it, and there are two guys on his team that are sniping people through fucking walls and flying around and shit. And he's like, what? God damn it. What the fuck?
Yeah, that sucks.
And he won. Of course he won.
Well, yeah. No. Interesting. Yeah. Well.
So yeah, online multiplayer is a crapshoot.
I mean, if you're in a situation like this where again, like it's the point of what they're going for with Night Rain, and you know, the experience of having two people just shit out and disconnect on you because they grief and be like, fuck you, I don't want to play with you or whatever, and then the game scales down to be like, okay, enjoy yourself alone. That's good, right? Because if you have someone being a piss baby and then being like, fuck this, then you can still enjoy and play and have the game scale appropriately and enjoy yourself doing that run regardless, you know? So, but the times where you make it to like day 3 or whatever and something like that happens, like it becomes way worse and much more closer to a waste of time, you know, for sure. In any case, we'll see how it goes, but I don't mind the idea of this Dark Souls arcade bit, especially seeing as we all know that truly this is FromSoft in their like refractory period. You know, allow them some downtime to make some quick bucks with some, you know, little online only experiences, and it'll be fine. I'm sure they'll drop a insane multi-year narrative at some point again in the future, but hopefully not anything like what they just did, because we don't need it. Yeah, Night Rain this Saturday. Okay, let's take a quick break.
Yeah, let's do it.
BRB. All right, let's take a quick word from our sponsors.
I love sponsors so much, dude. I would hug and kiss every sponsor. Give me here, give me here, give me like that.
This week, Castle Super Beast is sponsored by Shopify.
Shopify, come here.
Just
Can you please stop telling Pat to stop kissing us?
Just
in the ad read. Can you not?
Just kiss some money. Cha-ching. Mwah, chew.
You know what, man? Don't kiss money. Money's filthy.
If you're gonna kiss it, at least our plasticky Monopoly Canadian money has less cocaine on it than other.
That's true. It has much less.
Mm-hmm. The percentages are lower. You can wash that off your kisses. Now what's worse? Would you rather there's a lower percentage chance of cocaine, but there's a higher percentage chance of a pat kiss on your money. Which is worse is up to you, viewer.
Depends how much you care about getting mustache tickled.
Hi.
Cha-ching!
Shopify. That is the commerce platform that'll help you grow your business no matter what size you're in. They're behind millions of businesses around the world. 10% of e-commerce in the US, household names like Mattel and Gymshark, just to get started. And they're there for when you're looking to get yourself set up online. So if you're getting your first sale, if you're trying to figure out how to put your shop up, how to get how to get people to see it, and how to keep track of where you're selling and how, that is where Shopify comes in. When we wanted to figure out how to get t-shirts sold after just doing YouTube for a while, it's the perfect way to get into that. And they'll hook you up as well with getting your shop set up very quickly and easily with a lot of tools for your product descriptions, your page headlines, and getting your shop connected to your social platforms as well, wherever you want to reach people, and keeping track of where you're selling to who and like who's interested. It's all important and initially confusing, but Shopify makes it easy. So yeah, you can get the best checkout on the web. I always talk about the Shop app, which I use. I like earlier today. I'm just looking at it, seeing what I'm expecting to come in. Keeps it all in one place, and it's super useful. As a user of that, I am very happy with how quickly I can keep track of what's going on. So yeah, check them out if you're getting your business online off the ground, or if you're ready for your millionth sale, whatever level you're at. Turn your business idea into big money with Shopify on your side. You can sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/superbeast. Go to shopify.com/superbeast, shopify.com/superbeast. Thank you, Shopify.
Thanks, Shopify.
This week, the podcast is sponsored by boot.dev.
Boot.dev, help me. I don't know how to computer.
Super cool service that is out there helping people learn how to program. And if you want to learn how to code, if you want to learn Python, Go, JavaScript, Git courses, if you want to learn how to use a terminal in Linux, if you want to learn memory management in C, SQL databases, there's all kinds of there's all kinds of resources for you over here on boot.dev. Yes, how to computer.
Dude, I'm so stupid. You said learn Python, and I was like, I wanted to just go, snake.
Yes.
I need boot.dev if that's my reaction.
Oh boy. Java, that sounds like coffee. Hey, look, I don't name these languages or the last coding language I learned was Mugen.
Damn,
right?
That's not even real.
That's not even real. And you know what? That was to make a game because I wanted to make my own little fighting game characters and stages. Well, here the game is the learning process, and if I had something like this early on, I may have stuck with it long enough to get good enough to get a job as a programmer or to do programming for my own ideas, because it's really difficult to just read a bunch of textbooks or go through some dry lessons and hope that any of that like knowledge gets retained.
Learning's hard in general, I gotta be honest.
Yeah, but boot.dev has a RPG-like system of going through all their lessons where you earn XP, you level up, you get achievements, you complete quests, you have a global leaderboard you're competing with, and then you even have a story that is an arc that you kind of beat a raid boss together and do damage
Oh, that's
against it.
cool, man.
It's a really cool idea for learning how to code, you know? And yeah, if you're considering getting into it, according to Stack Overflow, the median salary for backend developers in the US in 2024 was over $100,000. So that is not a bad place to go. And if you're looking into it as well as a student, they want to make sure you're getting your money's worth. So there's a 30-day no questions asked refund policy. Plus, every single course on the website has a free demo and interactive experience. So you can just go check out all of the content right away and get a feel for what they're teaching you. Plus, if you need help, they've got a Discord community full of real humans who can help you if you get stuck on anything. And yeah, it's not a get rich quick scheme to when you want to learn how to code. So they've got a detailed curriculum that can take some time to get through, you know, around 12 months, in fact, if you want to properly go in depth on theory and practice. But why not do that the fun way with a kind of little RPG game series of lessons as you work remotely or from home, however you want to do it. The bi-monthly boss fights with the community rallying together, you get bonus XP for each lesson.
Oh, that's
completed.
cool.
So they have events as well. This boot, they might have a battle pass coming soon for all we know. And your spell book has an unlockable cheat sheet of links that notes that you can unlock as you progress. So yeah, super cool concept. Go check them out. Go to boot.dev and try out the courses for free. And then use our code CastleSuperBeast, and you'll get 25% off your entire first year if you choose the annual plan. One more time, that's boot.dev, and you can try out all the courses for free. And then use the code CastleSuperBeast, and you'll get 25% off the entire first year if you choose the annual plan. Thank you, boot.dev.
Thanks, boot.dev.
This week we're sponsored by Factor.
Hey, Factor.
That is...
I need food and I need it fast. And I don't have time to cook it and I'm stupid.
Wow. Okay, we can solve all of those problems.
Well, no, you
except
can
the last
all
one.
Those problems.
yeah, okay. We can do our best, you know. Yeah. You want to get your healthy eating in. You want to get good variety going as well, and have it quick and tasty. And look, we can't do much about the lack of you know, brain activity, but you know, there's a theory that says that the cooked food is what allowed us to get smarter when we were in our caveman days.
It's possible.
Because the cooking is like a pre-digestive state that makes it easier and faster to digest the food, which means your energy can go towards your brain. And
that's how Og became Grug.
Could be. It could be. So maybe eating well and efficiently is going to make you smarter. I'm not going to say that, but either way.
Yeah, but if you sign up for Factor, you're going to prove to everyone around you that you are smarter.
45 weekly menu options. There you go. Roll safe. You can pick gourmet meals that fit your goals. If you're going calorie smart, if you're going protein plus, if you're going keto, or just other, you know, there's a lot of different options for you to check them out. And of course, we were talking about not just your dinners, but you can get your breakfasts, you can get on-the-go lunches, guilt-free snacks and desserts. Lots of options every season. Going into this summer, they've got a ton for you to look at. And again, you're getting healthy, good tasting meals that are ready in just 2 minutes. So it's actually a lot easier to eat well. Go check them out. Get started at factormeals.com/castle50off and use code castle50off and you'll get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. One more time, that's code CASTLE50OFF at factormeals.com/CASTLE50OFF. And you're going to get 50% off plus free shipping. Thank you, Factor.
Thanks, Factor.
And one lastly, but certainly not least, this week we're brought to you by Aura Frames, and I have been very, very happy pushing this as a super cool gift, not just for the boomers in your life, because yes, having a digital photo frame that cycles through a bunch of photos is particularly cool and works well for.
It's very futury.
It's very futuristic. I support that.
That's what the photos in some Star Treks do.
There you go, right? And it makes your, especially if you have like parents or so older folks in your life that are like not ready for this world of new tech, but they still have picture frames up. It's a cool feeling like, hey, enter 2025. You can cycle through a bunch of photos. They're also, it's not like a big bright screen as well. Like it looks like correct and it's properly dimmed to the room. And when the lights turn off, they automatically turn off as well. So, having it on and plugged in doesn't feel like it's like this intrusive thing. That was generally how I was going about it. Like my in-laws and my parents absolutely loved it and are super happy seeing that. You can very easily send photos through the app or even through an email address for each frame to just upload a photo straight to it so that they can see it. You can set it up with a gift message for them and everything. But setting it up in the house myself, I'm like, you know what? I'm not that old, but this is pretty cool. It's nice. It's fun to throw little things in there, walk by, and every now and then you just have it cycling through, and you kind of go, "Oh, there it is," right? Well, I have the Gowroned and ungowroned versions.
Oh yeah,
of things going through. And so every once in a while, it's like,
great.
But so every once in a while, there's the jump scare of,
Oh, that's good. I like that.
Like, which one is that? Is that the safe one, or can my brain process the horror fast enough to know what I'm looking at? It's fun. So yeah, go check them out. And of course, I've mentioned as well the fact that you have a ability to scroll through and like double tap and put a little heart on anything you like it as well, so that they can check that out. So for a limited time, listeners can save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com and get $20 off plus free shipping on their best-selling Carver matte frame. That's AURA frames.com, promo code AURA20. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. Thank you, Aura Frames.
Thank you, Aura Frame.
Okay. Where do we go? A couple stories this week. There's some fun ones. A lot of them.
Yeah, what do you hear?
A lot of the stories have have your shot and your chaser. So there's a part 2 to a lot of these. Hey, how about this one, for example? Adi Shankar sat down for a podcast with Kenny Omega.
I've seen this, yeah.
And they got to talking about Devil May Cry. And in the conversation, we had a moment that, it's kind of like I just saw the clip and I was like, oh, I think I know. I think I understand all of it. I think I can zoom out.
He gives the game away. He gives up the grift.
I think I can zoom out and just orbital view the situation in its entirety.
Absolutely.
So in the podcast, he says that he was unhappy when Devil May Cry 5 was announced because it took spotlight away from the Netflix series. He thought the franchise was dead. I thought I was bringing it back, right?
Yeah, he didn't know that Devil May Cry had 5. That was even happening.
And so in the quick clip, you kind of can get a gist of like the idea that originally he thought this was a niche thing that was dead long after 4.
That he was going to save.
And this was going to bring it back into the spotlight. And so now that it was coming back with 5, which was a big AAA thing, it was like not as he was like upset at the idea that like, oh, he thought he was bringing it back, you know.
Well, Wooly, if he had
And
known DMC5 was coming out, he should have instead,
gone with Street Fighter, right?
which also has a game like
There's also movies and
that,
Street Fighter
that's the
adaptations that have been
funniest thing.
happening for a while.
Street Fighter, so I could save Street Fighter. Street Fighter 6 is out right now.
Yeah,
What you
there's
don't even know that.
but there's but so then there's like there's a mention of like, oh, like Dino Crisis or something, and like you kind of start to think about like, oh right, when you see like a tweet with like BlazBlue kind of thing, you go, it's the thought that, and I here's what I suspect, because there's the follow up here, right? But it's the thought that I imagine if you're like, you know, in the Hollywood world and like with talking to producers and that's why you're around and stuff, when you say a name like BlazBlue, a bunch of people around you are going to be like, what the fuck even is that? That's crazy. That's the deepest cut in the world, you know? And if you are somebody that likes these IPs or franchises or attach them at all and you've been following them, you're kind of just like, what? Yeah, no, here it is. It's been here. That's a thing. We care, you know? But I think in a world where like, oh, you're going to make a video game based movie? Well, is it Minecraft? Is it Call of Duty? Then why even bother, says Hollywood. You know, you kind of have this shift in perspective on it. The follow-up was then after enough people like saw that and went, what the fuck? You are mad at the idea of like one of the sickest entries coming out?
Oh
and
no, I did it, you know? And it was already successful. Shit. Oh fuck, I needed to be the savior.
So there was a clarifying series of tweets that he put out to basically elaborate and explain that let's see, that effectively the idea is that if he wants to get involved with like bringing a franchise back, he doesn't want to grab the ones that don't need the help. If something is already popular, then it's not it doesn't need a spotlight on it. Versus,
I don't believe that for a second. I don't believe that for a second. Versus
something that is more quietly forgotten for a while that might need to be put in the spotlight.
If he meant that, he wouldn't have said, then he would have done Street Fighter instead.
So, you know, and then again, there's the Dino Crisis, like mentioned there. In reiterating it too, he says, when I saw DMC was thriving again, at the time I wondered if maybe my energy would have been better spent resurrecting a property from Capcom that needed my help, like Dino Crisis, Darkstalkers, or God Hand, worlds I love that have been ignored for too long. Right? I wanted to give the spotlight to worlds that need a boost.
Like Street Fighter. He also like blocked and deleted a bunch of shit over the fact that people were like, but you said this. Here's a video of you saying it.
When I joked that I should have done Street Fighter, I didn't mean I regret making DMC. I meant that if I were choosing between AAA mega IP, I might as well go after the biggest. But that's not who I am. I routinely turn down giant titles to focus on stuff that I care about.
Don't believe that for a second. I don't believe that for a second.
I think that initial, like, if that were explained initially in the clip, I think this would have been taken a lot differently, certainly. But I would say that, like, in that conversation, just kind of going like, I got mad when Devil May Cry 5 came back because I wasn't the savior of it. That is a petty ass vibe to throw on top of things, man. And like the wording of it. Anyway, the clarification afterwards, it's different energy, and that's a more understandable version of it. But
if you believe
I think, well, and so the thing is that this would also be, I think, different too if we were looking at an adaptation that was like that good, faithful, or cared about the source material in a way that didn't
you can really feel like things. Resentment like, on DMC5 watching it, because it was like I wasn't think, supposed to be here.
So this is what it comes down to, I suppose, right? Like, again, if I'm thinking anywhere in a cold, like, you know, if I'm coming at this with no outside influence on it whatsoever, and you kind of are making a judgment call one way or the other, the idea of like these being the worlds that you kind of care about and stuff like that would mean like you don't have to be slavishly faithful, but you would be more respectful to the source material than the DMC anime was. And yeah, if you're mentioning that these are worlds that you care about in this way, but like these are the things that you're discarding, and people that do care about these worlds are not recognizing the characters that you have on screen there, it doesn't really lend credence to the idea that you care about these worlds in this way. Therefore, you don't get the goodwill on it when the clarification comes out, where people are going to necessarily buy into that. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
you know?
Also, like he wants more. He like remember Adi Shankar's Castlevania? So one, it puts
Uh,
it puts fucking
Warren
context of like,
Ellis.
well, why Castlevania? Oh, because I can save Castlevania. But what did you actually do on Castlevania, Addy? Were you a producer, or did you just kick in some money at the end so you could get a producer credit?
Yeah. Um, I that was one of those ones where, like, initially I've been going around kind of just thinking like, oh yeah, that was the name that was associated, and it's like, no, Warren Ellis, that was he did that, and there was a whole bunch of other people as well sort of involved. It's not quite as cut and dry as this is Adi Shankar's Castlevania, you know. And that was like, oh shit, huh? I you know, I just bought into the marketing drop of that, you know. Which
I will tell you one thing. I want to be the guy who saves it, or else I'd rather not do it or have it happen, is very big Capcom energy.
has dealt with this energy before.
Capcom has dealt with at least 2 guys that be like, I would rather kill this fucking project than not have this my name on it.
Oh my god, they've had this before, dude.
And I know everyone here knows at least about one of those guys.
Oh man.
But there's been 2.
Oh man, that's super true. It's me or nothing is a fucking problem they've had. God damn. Okay.
Everybody knows who those 2 guys are, but
I mean, look, in addition to this, again, Street Fighter has been getting its adaptations and will continue to, as we are finding out that Roman Reigns is slated to play Akuma.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah, you know what? Okay. I'll see it. I'll you know what? I mean, who knows?
I think that I have been like I think I'm too deflated on live action Street Fighter to ever care about it, even when the good ones happen. Because it's like, okay, you have
which ones are those?
So, well, that's the problem, right? Because it's like, hey, Raul Julia was cool, but lol. But then you make a ton of money, and then you have Kristen Kruk, which is fucking, yeah, that happened. And then now there's like, no, but then there's the ones that a cool stunt team made, right? There's the shorts are like Assassin's Fist, and I'm kind of like, yeah, at this point I've been beaten up too much, man. I can't even tune in. You know?
I would like a Street Fighter live action that treats the material with 1% more respect than Street Overlord. And if we can't get that, then I don't want it. And I'm still waiting for it.
You know, it's just, it can exist, it cannot exist, it's fine, it's there. You know, it's just, I think the ship has sailed is kind of what I'm getting at. Because for everyone that's told me that like Assassin's Fist is actually pretty good for a web series, you know, I'm like, yeah, I guess, and that's where that'll go. It'll be a web series that had a cool Street Fighter thing, I suppose, and you know, okay. It's not like a film thing that like whatever. I don't need to get into the whole like films don't need to exist to elevate things that don't need to be whatever. You know, like the Street Fighter 6 is there. It's fine. We're good. It's, you know, when I hear like, oh, Roman Reigns is gonna play Akuma, I'm just like, all right, yeah, okay, you know. I was last excited for Street Fighter story content with Udon doing their run of like some of those comics. You know,
those comics are great.
There was some really fun Udon takes on some stuff, and
I think I'm not a big comic book guy. I don't read a lot of comics, but those Udon comics have my very favorite single panel in the entirety of anything I've ever read, which is Cammy opening the door and Chun-Li opens a door and sees Cammy in a room, and then you turn the page and it is her tackling Cammy out of like an 8th story window.
Sick. Hell yeah.
Just absolutely no lead up at all. Just
I respect the fuck out of that entire series for the page 1, issue 1 is Charlie getting killed, and then Charlie gets resurrected as Shadow and dies again, and fucking gets beaten and then comes back from the like he has his multiple nonsense deaths be a part of the story in a way that's like, oh yeah, why did Charlie show up in Alpha and then Alpha 2 and then a 3, and did Guile meet him, did he not? It has it all work in the nonsense of all of that.
They had to really try pretty hard on that,
fucking wild. And then and then other little fun things where you're like, oh, here's Omar Dogan doing his run on like a little Ibuki comic. You want to see Ibuki being the ninja schoolgirl having fun?
Hell yeah, let's do it.
Let's have fun, so yeah, I legit enjoyed that. Plus the Udon backstory comic for Akuma was actually like pretty fun. Like they go into like young Akuma in a way that I was like, yeah, this is good. This doesn't destroy the character or do anything too embarrassing or Chinese.
I don't think anything that could ever happen to Akuma would be more embarrassing than everyone he's ever killed survived.
I mean, incoming actual BFFs with Elena, right? In the story mode, they properly set it up so that in World Tour, he's like, hey, he's not even that evil to begin with. And now the meme is real. He truly does just hang out with Elena. And further reading into that is like her power is being friends with everybody, and she's really good with nature. Therefore, right, if someone is like a beast, then it makes sense.
That means Akuma's a wild animal.
Akuma's a wild animal, and she can talk to wild animals too.
There you
go.
Done.
Anyway, so there was that part. And then that was not the only foot in mouth. As last week we were discussing Randy.
Hey, Randy, shut the fuck up.
So Larian steps in as we get the quote here.
I think that
Michael
Larian
Dowse
making BG3 and then getting to win big game of the year and then using that platform to tell everyone to shut the fuck up is like my favorite possible outcome. So the first to recap for anybody, the last time Randy was talking about the $80 pricing of games getting more expensive, and then Mario Kart World and all the Switch stuff, all these increasing game prices over the new generation. And he said, if you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. And then everyone was like, dude, fucking come on, right? Just Crazy Ken back from the dead. He's alive. Just
a tone deaf ass fucking thing to say in a situation where people are struggling. And Michael Dowse of Larian basically said to that effect in response, real fans are people who love and understand what you do and will keep track of and engage with your shit regardless of how much they spend. And then they asked him if, Baldur's Gate 3 would ever have like an $80 price or something to that effect. And he said, even if it did, we would not probably suggest people do whatever they can to buy it, lest they not be real fans. Right?
Absolutely ridiculous.
Because the second part of it was after Randy said that, it's like also the publishing arm and other people will decide the price. So it's not even like it's up to those individuals or so.
Yeah, that should have been your first answer, dumb shit.
But fucking,
I don't set the price. The publisher sets the price.
And now that that's established, hey, too tough shit. I don't disagree with that price, maybe, is a wild way to fucking go with it, Like, I don't set the price, but if I did set the price...
Everybody who works with customers
you would need to learn discipline.
Life learns that when the customer is really mad at you and they're like, this is fucking bullshit, you look at them and go, I know it's bullshit, but my fucking boss... He wants to hit these, I'm doing the best I can. And every single person in the world goes, yeah, you know what? You're right. It is your fucking asshole boss. It's not you.
You get
and Randy
the out.
Decided to go, no, it's me. Yeah. It's me.
You get the out of being able to be like, yeah, we don't decide that shit, unfortunately. It's just the other teams or whatever. But instead, you're like, fucking defend the corporations, back off. right? The fucking just like insane wild, like, why are you going to die on this hill? Why are you going to stand in front of that and be like, no, actually the pricing is fucking is not a bad thing. Deal with it. Be a real fan. I am yes, and then the end of that was also Dow's continuing. Inflation exists. We give inflation bumps to for example, to our employees. Price increases can make sense. He replied on social media, but saying that real fans will find a way is gross because it assumes your game is more important during a cost of living crisis than, say, making it day to day. Right? That's it. That's all. It's just, it's not that hard to fucking click these two things together and go, it's the worst it's been.
Trivial.
Don't be like, yeah, prices go up, tough shit, you know?
It's so, like, to be fair to Randy Pitchford, he does have like a long history in game development, and prior to game development, he worked in a lot of like Renaissance type like prop work, which is really interesting. So if you'd want like a better idea of like how he got to where he is right now, you can look on Google for Randy Pitchford medieval times, and then you'll get like a decent history of like the type of things that he used to be up to.
I see. Or you could just go back to episode 2 of this podcast again.
That was so fucking funny when we were looking at the archive channel, and it was like, oh wow, right at the beginning. Thanks for sending this boat off, Randy. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, it's just, there's a weird part of it where this is kind of like, you're not supposed to say this quiet part out loud here, but hey, also, I know that we love and play these video games. They are not actually that important. That's true. This might be a wild take here.
Oh,
but
don't say that.
They're actually not that important.
You know what's more important? Food, rent, and your babies.
And people will make not the best decisions sometimes to get something that they really care about, that in a video game or something sometimes, and like, yeah, that sucks. That fucking sucks. That's not a good thing when that happens. That's not like, oh wow, you're so fucking hardcore. Wow, look at you. It's a bit of that like orphan crushing machine mentality. If you tell me how much you had to sacrifice to buy the fucking premium edition $120 version of your favorite franchise game. All right. Foot's continuing in mouths. Just, you can't stop sucking on those toes. Getting in between.
I don't like that, what you're saying to me, Minoko. I don't. I want you to stop.
We're getting in between the toes on this one. I mean, I actually like the wording of it, because to follow up on the marathon story, the latest Forbes article from Paul Tassi, who we talked about last time, the title is "Marathon Isn't Cancelled, but it's bad we even have to ask that."
Oh man, yeah. So Sony's pulling advertising for it for the entire rest of the year.
It's very, very. It's here. Okay, on a stage, on the scale of like released to die to canceled, released to die has been removed, and now the lowest we are starting at is definitely delayed, right?
Yeah, so it's either Sony saying we're not going to throw good money after bad with the advertising, or it's delayed.
And now, as far as confirmation goes, what was it? So yeah, Colin Moriarty says, I was told by someone familiar with the marketing plans in a key overseas market that there are now no plans to do paid marketing for Marathon at all. I don't know if those plans were affected by what has recently happened, or if that was always the plan or whatever, but it is considered a fairly unusual move for a game of this high profile. So
yeah, it's fucking weird.
And so it is basically almost certainly delayed. We don't know about cancellation, but that news that recently hit in it, and if it was like everyone was like glowing with their discussion of the gameplay about it, that'd be one thing.
It would be different, wouldn't
That'd
it?
be one thing. but it was already rough going, and then you had this massive, like, the entire game's aesthetic. The one thing that was the saving grace, in my opinion, that I'm hearing, is stolen from somebody else, and like the person themselves doesn't have the energy to sue you over this, but it's enough that everyone's talking
But the
about
parent
it.
company is like, oh my god, what the? Oh geez.
You know. Also,
So here's what happens, right? I think whether or not the game is canceled or not is going to depend. Like we'll be able to intuit based off of like one factor, and that factor is how many days do we go after the plagiarism scandal before we see the game running in any way whatsoever at all. Because if it goes like a month and we literally haven't seen the game at all, it's like, oh, they stole so many assets that they have to fucking rebuild like the whole fucking goddamn game.
Right.
Like that it's plastered on everything.
The entire thought about the last stream where they had the art director on and they weren't showing footage at all. If the idea is that we don't want to show it because what if we show anything that is going to be that was stolen, you now have like such an unmitigated disaster of how you fix this on your hands that yeah, if you don't delay, like at what point does the cost just become not worth it, you know? And whatever you replace it with, I guess like you can do things that remove the artist's name and actual tag and shit from the game, but do you then just replace it with like other generic bright colored versions of that?
Yeah, because now it has to be like significantly different. You know what this makes me think of? Like really strongly, this makes me think of my favorite question I have ever heard a reporter ask in my life, which is, Mr. Trudeau, how many more of these photos are going to surface? To which he said, I don't
know. And the follow-up question,
I don't remember the follow-up.
Mr. Trudeau, can you round it up to the nearest 5?
Oh, was that it? Was that it? Oh. So, like, they're probably, I'm going to have the assumption that someone at Sony went and spoke to somebody at Bungie and was like, okay, how much of your assets are tainted by plagiarism? And someone said, I don't know.
I'm guessing actually that a number of the folks are like, okay, look, it's not that bad. We have a couple textures here and there. We can deal with that. And then the legal team is looking and they're going, plus the person said they're not going to sue us, so whatever. And the legal team is going, ah! And they're freaking out and running in circles going, it doesn't matter if they say they're not going to, you can't actually have anything here
and they're not going
stolen.
to right now. They can wait till the game's out for 5 years.
It is right? Oh, is it making money? How's it doing? All right, gangbusters, wonderful. Or not. Like the liability of having a sword of Damocles over your head that is, we are selling thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of copies of a stolen asset fucking game, right?
Now, by the way, I have to tell you, remember, Bungie doesn't have lawyers anymore.
Right. The team that's gone.
So it would be Sony's lawyers.
Yes. Okay. And the folks who were involved the last couple times they stole shit. Right. True.
So Sony's lawyers are saying how much of this stuff is stolen, and they go, I don't know, like 10 things. And they go, what do you mean you don't know? And if the person that did this is in fact gone, they might not actually know at all, which means it all has to be done over. The whole thing.
Okay, so the question I have is this. How long until, if not have it, or has this already happened internally, someone goes, you know, we can just stick these textures into Midjourney and just go make them a little different.
You know what?
And then get output spit.
You know what?
And just drop the output right back into place where they were.
I wouldn't even be surprised.
If that conversation has not already happened, how soon until?
Oh, man.
Somebody looks at the bank account, they look at the numbers, and they go, drag that whole folder. We don't have time. Drag that whole folder. Take the current. Okay, the problem with the plagiarism is that it was targeted to one person.
Yeah.
What we need to do is omni-plagiarize in all directions.
Grok, will this work?
let's muddle the situation.
I think that if a lawyer has gotten involved and you are explaining to them that you getting in trouble because you cut corners and you're going to solve the problem by cutting corners harder, they're going to look at you with that look that lawyers give you.
But if
That look that means that they explain to you what their billable hours are. Right?
However, we are currently, as you just described, cutting to a legal team of empty chairs. Perhaps a stuffed.
So it would be a different company's legal team, in which Sony's legal team is about, hey, I want to insulate Sony from legal liability.
I would like to imagine the legal team is a stuffed plushie of the Arbiter. Just propped up, with a little, with maybe some glasses, to look smart. Oh boy. Yeah, all right.
We've moved from human plagiarism to the plagiarism machine. I hope everyone's happy with this.
It's not good. One might argue it's bad. But hey, listen. That solution that we might see. I don't know if we're going to see it coming down the pipe for Marathon, but this is clearly working its way in other industries, because have you heard about Thus Spoke Kishihibe Rohan, the live action JoJo?
I have not.
Okay, so the Rohan TV drama series is they've got some movies, and it turns out that there's two of them that are out, and the composer of the films came out and proudly announced that AI was used for the entire soundtrack of the films. And then they even go on to elaborate, not partially or a little bit, but entirely. And they were used for the Rock Paper Scissors Kid, for the episode RPS Kid and Rohan at the Louvre, right? And it's like, man,
on something involved with Araki seems so outrageous and so offensive.
So this is why this is the bit, right? Because
Rohan himself,
the proud nature of the composer coming out to be like, yeah, no, totally, it was awesome, we totally did it. It was not partially but entirely AI generated, right? You're like, cool, so why do you exist again? What's the point of your job? Just wondering, whatever. But Rohan in particular, not JoJo, right? Not even the Araki bit. In, Oingo Boingo?
Yeah.
So the Oingo Boingo Brothers Adventure, like they have their little like comic book where like shit's happening. In that book, right? Rohan initially likes the artwork being that's showing up that like Oingo Boingo's doing, and is like, he's impressed with the work as a mangaka. And then he finds out that it's not him doing it, but it's the stand that draws it. And he fucking hates it afterwards. And he switches to being like, oh, fuck this thing. This is garbage. Rohan in JoJo switches over to hating the work when he finds out the stand is the artist, not the individual. What the fuck are we doing, man?
It couldn't be more thematically on point.
Oh, God. Yeah, no. That's great. It's great. This took place in the Oingo Boingo Brothers Adventure book. It's just, you like, of all the works to do this to, you the one about the artist is crazy. Anyways, hey, beyond that, not much else, Mortal Kombat 1. We hear the player's request for continued game support, but
well, yeah.
No.
Do you?
There will be balance adjustments and fixes, but there will be no longer any DLC or story chapters released from this point on. So,
yeah, okay.
And we want to focus on the next project and shift things over. Whatever.
Oh, I can't wait for Injustice 3. Oh man. Oh yeah.
I just, I had a conversation with Reggie, not too long ago, and it's just one of these bits where I'm like, I get upset around MK announcement time, where I'm looking at things going like, Okay, like there's the part where you're like, yeah, this is a game, this franchise, it's gone popular, and there's been examples of them having a game that's fun to play. It's possible to make a Mortal Kombat game that is fun and has stuff going on that,
Yeah, no, they did that a couple times in the 90s.
But there's a deep just anger and frustration that comes out of Mies, and he was like, "What's the deal?" Right? And I remember it was over. I think we were flying back from somewhere, and I was explaining. I was just like, "It's because they always get everyone's attention. They do the job that other games struggle to do in terms of how many people tune in to see the new announcement because of what fatalities are and what that represents to the genre and the whole thing of the legacy of the title, right? It gets more attention in one day than fucking Street Fighter, the king of the genre, gets over the course of a year, right? And every time it gets all these people to show up, it does absolutely nothing with them. It does nothing for it. It just sucks because it has such a good opportunity, to win over hearts and minds, and they never do because they just don't give a fuck. Here's a $13 fucking Christmas fatality. Now get out. I just don't. I like. Who cares when you're showing me how many people watch that trailer on day one when this is what happens every time? It fucking, ugh, man. It is
because it's not fair.
It is the Drake of fighting games.
Oh my god.
It is bringing in a whole bunch of people.
Oh no.
It's bringing in a different group of people as an audience that are showing up that are like, yo, we're here for it. And then what do you do with it? And then what? And anyone here want to check out any of this other shit? No? All right.
Well, at least Mortal Kombat says that it's for adults on the box.
All right, I'm gonna put you on Mortal Kombat timeout for that one. We're putting up the fucking hourglass on that. All right. And beyond that, just another fun thing. But you've been keeping an eye on this Punishing Gray Raven shit. You've been keeping an eye.
No, Virgil be your little girl waifu.
I've been squinting. I've been squinting and looking at this thing because really and truly, it looks like the people who make Punishing Gray Raven have immense amounts of love and respect for the source material and are doing
that makes sense.
The most incredibly faithful job of bringing these characters to life and doing them justice. And in particular, you're seeing like, oh, here's him sitting on the plastic chair. Here's all this artwork. Here's all this little fun bits and shit. And then just seeing the conversations that the characters are having that are like important canon material taking place outside of the games. You can have them talk to each other. You can have your little Virgil dating scene where he talks about, the power of your heart and so on. But one interaction in particular that was fucking choice is Dante talking to him going, so who is that person? Virgil goes, what? He goes, come on, that woman, you're his mother. And he goes, I'm very curious about what kind of woman can win Virgil's heart. Maybe we can, when we see Nero again, we can have a big old family dinner. Ha! All right. And then Virgil, not too much happy about that, replies, where was it? Oh fuck, sorry. God damn it, I just lost it. I can't read this. Get in there. Oh, yeah, and what about you? What about those women around you? What are you going to do with them? And Dante goes, I take back my question. That's great. That's great. Perfect. Yeah. He can dish, but he can't take.
No.
What about them hoes, Dante? What about them hoes?
I don't want to talk about it.
They're a fucking world. You shut up.
I don't want to talk about it.
Never mind. All right. We have letters.
We have letters. Let's do it. Send in a letter to castlesuperbeastmail@gmail.com. Make it a good letter.
You gotta wonder if Virgil has some inner fucking, like, burn salve he's applying ever since I'm not your mommy V. Like, he's got to be extra pissy at Trish.
You know what I bet the cope is on that? Like the massive super cope. Well, that wasn't even me.
Nah. What? That didn't
happen to V.
That doesn't count. Yeah,
No,
that
man.
guy. You know, good taste in poetry, but embarrassing for him.
That's a totally different guy.
Couldn't be me. Nah. Also the other discussion being that, like, how many STDs does Virgil now have from getting plugged into the Clyfod blood machine and having
0.
But everyone's blood all filters back into the roots into him. So now he has cancers and diseases.
He is the storm that is approaching.
He has every blood-borne disease you can possibly have, you know, inside his demon
he's
blood.
Fine. You know he's fine.
Maybe, you know, does demon blood heal you from blood diseases, or does it amplify them? All right.
I don't know, man. He's probably completely fine, or he has all of them and they don't do anything.
Okay. Let's take one over here. Libro says, hello, Caboose and Papoose. You currently got a Papoose, so I mean, I could take that for the dump truck, whatever we want to do. That's fine.
Yeah.
A few days ago, while talking to my brother about how I mentioned a dead game like Heroes of the Storm is pretty balanced, actually, since it gets about 2 patches a year. Players had time to figure out viable ways to play almost every hero. So my question is, balance or innovation? Do you think that it's better to push for new tech and improve bad characters, or wait for changes to come and fix them? Maybe a little bit of both? From Libro.
I think League patches way too often. I always forget how often, and then someone in chat mentions how often League patches, and I go, "Oh my god, that's way too often." I think it's like 6 weeks.
Yeah, a lot of like I've seen many players get upset at like fighting games that patch themselves every month or so, like shit.
That's too much,
right? So here's the thing.
Okay, League patches every 2 weeks.
Okay,
that's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. No, people who play like these games a lot, like, it gets when you learn a lot and then it's all irrelevant in 30 days. Just what's the point, right? Is a really shitty feeling to have.
Now we have also had the alternative, which is you get a balance patch maybe before you die.
Sure. Yes.
And it's called Buy the Game Again. It says super next to it.
Yeah. And this is what games used to be, certainly. There was arcade versions of things that then got replaced for a while, but then stopped when a port happened, and that was that. So my old soul, I remember and kind of do want the dust to have time to settle. That is true. But I also know that, like, games are different now. In fact, media is different, right? Ongoing excitement that is paralleled online is just changed what these things are and how we enjoy them. I can't say that I think it's out and out better, but it is just different, right? And so you have to stay on top of things more frequently than we used to, but it can't be more than once a month, or even once a month. That's too much already, right? And to take this into another medium, I would almost say that it reminds me of how JoJo Part 6 getting dumped onto Netflix sucked, because people kind of want that weekly journey through the series, and the communal and or like progressive experience of going through it is much more enjoyable than just the binge, you know? So it's things are just not the way they used to be, and you can't just dump and forget it now, you know?
I think once a year or twice a year is probably the best, personally.
That works. I think, you know, when you add a new character, of course, there's always things where people have to, like, do little tweaks to fix bugs and whatever. But, like, yeah, the major patches being like, okay, new season, all right, fine. I'm okay with that, you know? Okay, we got one over here from Joe, who says,
what's up, man?
Dear female Corpo V and female Corpo V, I want to hear your Cyberpunk 2077 gang tier lists.
I barely know a goddamn thing anymore. It's been like a year and a half since I played it.
Okay, I got some quick answers because there's a whole bunch of them. You got the 6th Street Patriots and Aldecados and all Tiger Claws and all of them, right? It's Wraiths, etc. I have the ones that stand out to me are one, I say the Voodoo Boys are sick because that's the Petit Haiti, the Haitian hackers that are like getting into that deep old web shit. They're basically going from the voodoo boys, you know, in like the real world of like dealing with the occult and magic and dark scary things. The equivalent in the cyberpunk world is dealing with the black wall and and evil AIs out to murder people. So they're dealing with the cyber equivalent of voodoo, which is awesome. I love them. I think they're great. VDB's up top. Animals they're just like about getting ripped and fucking pumping iron and just punching shit, and they want big gladiator arenas to do it in. So cool. I admire the purity. And the mocks are also pretty cool because it's like, yo, what if all the sex workers and street girls just went, how about we fucking just chrome up and kill the pimps though? And now we're a gang. And you're like, oh, okay, yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Got it. Done. That's top 3. And then just on sheer aesthetic, shout outs to Maelstrom. They look like Doom cyber demons. And they fully lean into the aesthetic of, yeah, we're basically monster freaks. Like, we're living in this cyber world looking like what you think a bad guy would look like. They commit to the bit, so Maelstrom can get it. They're all on board. And similarly, Valentino's on just the chromed out fucking shiny aesthetic, gold all over the place. They are embracing the future and becoming as cyberpunk as possible. I think both of them are not cowards about it, and I respect that. Scavs on site. That's it.
Okay. I don't remember a single one of those.
That's
not a single one.
There you go. Owen asks, hey there, beasts of the castle. My favorite part of apocalyptic media is the beginning. News reports, debating with neighbors, loss of power, unexplained disappearances, etc. But what is the best way to explain, to maintain that awesome feeling of dread so that it doesn't just turn into an action flick?
I have no idea. I can think of like World War Z, the film with Brad Pitt, is like really, really fucking mid, except it actually shows the exact second that the world goes from totally normal to completely fucked.
The thing with that is, though, the opening montage of everything slowly falling apart is it's sped through, and I'm like, over a Muse song, you know, Unsustainable, which is great, but like those are the parts you actually want to slow down to see the turning happen, you know? I feel like there's different ways to go about it, because on the one hand, like, if it's all in the competence of the director in making the threat that continues into the apocalypse seem like ongoing, right? So The Road is a great example of holy fuck depressing, it's all awful, and every time another person might exist, you are terrified, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of that has to do with how helpless your main character is against the threat versus whether they have the competence to fucking John Wick their way around the apocalypse, you know? So I'm thinking of, there's examples where these are not sterling examples of good horror, but whenever the threat can only be escaped from and you can't really fight against it, like, that's a kind of easy way, I imagine, to, you know, maintain that feeling, but that's not enough to make it a good movie. Like Bird Box.
I'm not a big fan of that.
Bird Box.
I'm not a big fan of the invincible threat.
I was about to say the movie where you can't look at the monsters, right?
Bird Box
is like with the blindfolds or whatever, is like an example of like, they're so unstoppably strong, there's nothing to be done about this, right? You're just fucked in a way. And that's, there's no, it kind of breaks the entire bit, because you're like, there's too much there, right? You definitely want a little bit of push and pull. I think A Quiet Place does a better job of that, where you're like, this is super busted OP, but like learning the game a little bit, you can start to move it in your favor, but you have to balance that well, you know, and write a good fucking movie. I mean, there's also The Annihilation Way, which I don't need to get into the whole thing, because I fucking didn't like it, but like a lot of people did. But I will say one thing about that, where you're going into an unknowable weird dome of who knows what psychological shit's going to happen to you. There's still a, like, you can't really fight back against this, right? Is kind of the overall vibe. But yeah, no, I think the road is like, yeah, there's other humans out there actually post fall.
Run
Run
from them.
Terrified of the other humans.
Run from them exclusively.
Just that's you can do it well. You know, the child is not doing fucking gun reload combos. Cool. All right.
Well, that's the end of emails, which means we're going to segue into a short segment of Spoilercast for Expedition 33's Act 2 ending.
Spoilers start. Not now.
No. Well, you know what? Kinda, a little bit DMC spoiler cast.
A little bit of a DMC spoiler cast.
A little bit.
Not quite exactly. Yes. Expedition 33. There we go.
All right.
Starting now.
So let's just focus up. Exactly where are you at in Expedition 33?
I have completed Act 2, I have begun Act 3, and I have started doing activities around the world. I have done a couple of I've done a personal dungeon quest for one of the team members.
Is that the Reacher?
I did Lune's personal quest.
You did Lune's? Okay.
And then I fought a couple of the new super chromas around the world, and
some of them are fucking nuts.
Yeah. So that's kind of and that's kind of the deal. So I know what's going on. We know what's going on and why we're here, and
we know what the deal is now.
Now you're just in this end game, rolling it through. And if I can say, right, okay, so one, the wild thing about Act 2 of this game. To me, we were kind of talking about it before, but it feels like as soon as Act 2 begins, Guillaume leans into the player and basically all DMC players, and he leans in and he goes, man. Hail Hydra.
Yeah, hey man.
It is a Hail Hydra moment for Devil May Cry fans. Right.
I also want to say that Gustav is my I alluded to this earlier, but it wasn't like super specific. Gustav's fake skills on his fucking skill tree is my favorite use of the interface as an anti-spoiler I have ever seen in my entire life.
I'm looking at those locked skills like, oh man!
Oh, I guess he's gonna get like a Nero power up on his arm.
Isn't that insane that they showed you a bunch of shit that wasn't like that? That's next level on it, right?
It's so amazing. It's so perfect.
Okay, so I have we're without doing them or whatever, I'm looking at some of these bits and there's still mysteries I don't have, but there's some of them I'm scratching.
You got the gist. You got the gist of it now. Yeah,
like I'm looking at Monoko and I'm like, I know exactly who you fucking are, right? Yeah. He goes, ow, ow, ow. And I'm like, oh, yeah? You love feet, do you?
Oh, you mean your insanely loyal companion that carries his fucking stick everywhere?
You love fighting and you're super down to, like, you're obsessed with feet? And then you run into this side room and we don't know much about the fucking pupper? God damn it. I'm like, of course it is. Who else would that be in that family, right? Good stuff there. You know that the Lost Odyssey vibes are immaculate when the battle theme I'm humming in my brain sounds like it's from a sequel to that game that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Unbelievable through and through. And I might have had a word or two to say, but Sirene was just
Sirene's great.
I loved
Sirene's
it.
Great.
I just fucking loved it.
I'll tell you what, though, I'm very happy. So I did Visage first, and Visage is really cool.
Me
that
too.
Sequence is really
I did
cool.
Visage first as well, yeah.
And I ran into a problem with the game. So the game, there's two types of ways to do multiplication in your game. If you have a 30% damage boost and then a 25% damage boost, you can either have the character's attack be 100 and have the first number multiplied by base attack, and then the second number multiplied by base attack separately, so you have a total damage of 150% or whatever. Expedition 33 says, no. We're just going to multiply everything by everything by everything by everything by everything. So what happened is Visage got to attack me once.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, and you also weaken it by doing the side stuff, right?
And so when I got to sit
I crushed
in,
it as well.
I pulled all my gear off. I pulled all of it off. And I'm like, because if I don't, I'm not going to get to see this boss at all. And lucky me, I didn't.
And so, but the thing is we all want Balatro numbers. Balatro numbers feel good, right? And
that's why it's so exciting when you get to the Paintress and Renoir and like stage 2, and the game goes, I am just assuming you are going to hit these guys at damage cap on every hit.
Yes.
That is the assumption.
The progression knows that by the end of Act 2, they're thinking that you're swinging for 9999 on each hit, and allows the fight to balance itself around that speed. So even taking out Renoir handily, when he comes in and does shit like makes one of your team members vanish, right? Or you have the Paintress who like you struggle even hitting damage cap on her because of the way the phase works. It's well thought out, right? And then
they give you the power of breaking the cap that you can turn on and off at will, which is important because Wooly, when you go to the top of the Reacher, when you go to the Flying Manor, you put that painted power in the trash for a second, because we are talking about the difference between a damage cap number of 10,000 and a damage. My highest right now is Mael hit somebody for 2.4 million.
Okay.
It's like millions.
Yeah, I hit for 1 million. I hit for 1 million on something, and I saw him like, because basically what happens, right, is the cap comes off and the game says, we get it, you're used to it, now go out there and re-examine everything you've got because you never found out the real numbers, right?
Yeah.
When something says 5 hits, medium damage, or 2 hits, high damage, you don't know what those actually mean.
Yeah, no, extreme damage means extreme damage.
So it's time to pull everything off and re-examine all your skills, and that's where I'm now, like, this is what's weird, as the game making me go through it to find what the real numbers are on things, feels like also, because we just fucking killed the Paintress and the whole thing went down, you're like, this is New Game Plus, right? It's like they took New Game Plus and made it part of New Game.
So it's really strange because there's you know the big scaffold tower on the northwest
Bloody
side
Palace?
Of the map? No, the scaffold, the one that's made out of sticks and twigs and shit.
Okay,
the one at the bottom is something called the Crows.
Oh, Crows. Yeah. Okay, I did the Crows.
Okay, so that thing's called the Reacher.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. That is the personal dungeon for Mael. So you go there and you do Mael's personal dungeon, right?
Yep.
That thing. I must assume that at one point the game had some of these things as part of its critical path, because that thing assumes you're doing 10,000 damage per hit.
Okay. Yeah.
I put on auto death bomb and nothing could have a fight with me until I hit the boss. And then if I had hit the boss with painted power on, I would have smoked it with 1 million damage and I wouldn't have fought it at all.
Lune's dungeon, her boss didn't swing. It didn't.
No,
her boss didn't.
I just evaporated the fucking thing.
Because even if you're not doing enough damage in that first hit, you're also stealing turns because you have fucking Pictos that let you do that, right?
And you have cheater.
You have cheater. Like I have.
I haven't used cheater.
I have it on, and I have Verso doing 3 turns in a row. I'm getting to S. And then immediately just fucking trouncing.
I have Verso right now on a build where he doesn't use his skills at all. I have Verso on a basic attack build where he just stacks infinite amounts of burn. And infinite amounts of burn with a damage cap removed is like 1 million burn damage a turn.
Yeah, okay. The hilarity of seeing that skill that's like you power up your next attack. No, it's a skill that gets boosted in damage by how many shots you took. Up to 10.
Yeah.
And you take 10 shots and use the skill and watch as like all these elaborate big animations to go like, 500,000 damage. And then this one thing is like, book, 1 million. Like, it's such a simple hit and the numbers go flying, you know? It's a real wild second or third act to this game. And you also know the deal, so you feel differently about the world. It really does just feel like a New Game Plus epilogue,
The
you know?
context of the world has dramatically changed.
And
It's like it's gone from a society crumbling to like the stakes are different in every stage of the
yeah,
game, and they're all about grief. Sophie's gone. I have to make sure that it was worth it. Gustav is gone. I have to make sure it was worth it. They're all gone, and none of them were real. I have to make it worth it.
isn't it such an interesting like ethical bit where you're like, okay, so how are you going to choose to look at this? Because I can see where some people playing this are going to be like, oh yeah, well, who cares? They're not real, right? And like you can do that, but it's like these are clearly.
It's gone on for too long. It doesn't matter anymore if they're not real or not.
That the elaborate the power of what a canvas is to create a world. I don't care
Also,
how petty it is to you from the outside, or if you're like almost like looking at a robot and kicking it around like it's not real. These are real people with real lives over generations. It's crazy, you know?
also, the fact that I think this game can be fairly accurately summed up. I did not come up with this. I've seen people say it, and it's so dead on. Okay. The middle child, Daryl, passed away in a tragic fire. Mom and dad are fist fighting every day over whether or not to delete his Minecraft server. like that, like it actually does have an actual real life analog.
Yeah, that's
Mom
wild.
just sits around and plays Minecraft on Verso's server all day, and she's getting sick. And dad is like, we need to turn this off. And the whole fucking family is screaming and fighting and coming to fucking blows over it.
And she's just locked in there, you know. And you want to talk about those like most like Attack on Titan world shape learning the reasoning moments, because I'm like, I always wonder, I'm like, what is the aesthetic of how you've chosen to depict the Paintress and how you've chosen to depict Blagamage? And the idea of like, she is just sad and telling everyone how much time you have left because it's all I can do is fucking phenomenal, right?
So I'm holding him back over here. I'm holding him back for real.
That's all I got, right? There's still some questions I have and I want some clarification. So the role that Clea is playing is interesting, and seeing how she works into the situation, right?
She says it very directly in the flashback in Paris.
Yeah,
which is Paris.
Yeah, it's real Paris. Yeah,
and it tells you what the sequel's gonna be.
So
because it's like, oh, the
Writers Guild. Yeah. So that's where I was like, oh, other expeditions. That's a dumb way to waste of a sequel. No.
Now let's do art.
The fucking writers are out there. What are they up to? Oh, the musicians, you say, huh? What are they doing? Right.
But she says like flat out, mom and dad are fighting, and mom is always gonna win because she's a better painter. But I figured out a way to stop Chroma from getting to her.
I fucked with XP share,
which is like you can like it said a little more explicitly later, but like there's enough that me and Chad were able to figure it out then.
Oh, yeah.
Chroma gets eaten up by Nevrons, so it can't go back. So
so yeah, there's a moment where you get a further part 2 of that. Like, you go to a location and you get some more context from her.
And they just tell you. They're just like, she made the Nevrons.
The Nevrons are what are keeping the Chroma from going. And that
which is why they're all different art styles. Like, all the different enemy types in the game
clashing with
different art styles.
And the stupid little tonal difference between how the sad, mourning, serious people of Lumiere and the goofy little fucking Gestrels doing cartwheels.
Okay, those were painted by a child.
And fucking Esquier is your invisible best friend.
Superman. It's my Superman
it's
doll.
So good. I'm like, of course he makes no sense. A child
He's
made him.
He's the strongest character in the world.
And he doesn't afraid of nothing.
Us. He can fly.
And
he's always there when I'm sad, and he gives me a big hug.
And Child Superman is also involved in the saddest, most tragic like moment with Ciel. And you're like, this is insane. Like, it's so good. The escalation of the story becoming this solid while enjoying the game is fucking just, I did not need the story to be as great as it is.
I've seen some folks say that they're not a big fan of how the focus goes from the people, the Lumerians, to Verso to the
The
family.
family. Okay. The change.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, but the people in Lumiere were not the focus. Gustav and Mael and their
Yes.
grief over their
Yes.
lives was the focus. Then it was Verso's grief over a life that he doesn't even live.
That's it.
And then it was Mael's grief over her whole family just completely falling apart and just dragging up all these little Minecraft characters in with them.
Gustav is about to give up 10 minutes in, just over being overwhelmed with loss. And remember, he's hot off of Sophie just getting fucking whooshed, right? Like that's it. That's the main character. That's the focal point. You're following that around. And when it shifts perspective and what it does to Mael's understanding of the world is super fascinating as well, right? Because you know that feeling of like, God damn it, Verso, you asshole, you're not answering stuff, but we know you're not, but right? And
because you're the worst and you're a massive liar and a complete piece of shit and a traitor.
The thing where in a lot of settings you go, you knew the whole truth all along, and your way of dealing with it was like to dance around and kind of like push people in the right direction, but not quite give them enough context, right?
Yeah, because he guards truth with lies.
And now you're kind of like, what is the conversation going to look like when you tell a bunch of people that they're quote unquote not real, right?
Yeah, no, they don't like it.
And then you do that, and they come back from death, and Ciel and Lune are like, yeah, I don't give a fuck. You should have told us, asshole.
You should have, one, you should have told us. Two, if we're not real and you can do anything, then it's time for you to start doing anything right now.
I mean, wow.
If I don't abide by the fucking rules, then you're going to bring my fucking parents back. You're going to bring back my fucking husband. You're going to fucking do that shit.
Like, okay, like literally, it's almost like, and what? Like, what do you want me to do? Like, okay, so what? Like, who fuck? Like, at this point, who the fuck cares? You know? What a great response to like, ooh, you're actually, you know, like it's just like, no.
One of my favorite things about the game.
My feelings are real. I'm here. My memories are there. I don't give a shit, man.
I'm not there yet. I beat the Reacher, so I'm a little farther. But one of the themes going on over and over and over between Renoir and real Renoir and Verso and real Verso,
yeah,
and Mael and Alicia who is Mael and Aline and Clay and all of them, is all of them talk up why they're doing what they're doing and why it's for the right reasons and why they had to do what they do, and every single one of them is a hypocrite liar. Every single person is doing the thing that they want to do now for them.
Verso,
and then they justify it after. Every single one.
Is it someone saying it to Verso, or is he the one that says, you're doing this for Gustav, I'm doing like there's a line that kind of implies that people only care about their, well, it's the relative point of view they have. Like, you care about who you care about, and
I'm doing it for my mom.
I'm doing it for me. Yeah, I'm doing it for my personal reasons.
It's not even your mom, actually.
It's so like that. There's a line that comes out of someone's mouth that just straight up says that.
And like the argument between Renoir and Verso, Renoir isn't real. Like, Renoir, the villain for most of the game, was made to be that way.
So this is where the confusion that I need more context, and I guess we'll find out later, is the fake Renoir versus the real one. And the idea of the mean one is how she thought of him, but he was still acting, you know?
It is
against her interests.
Like, the trick is that like the Clea and the mom, like, this is an unflattering portrait of Renoir.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. Like, you would think that the only thing she did was she completely copied Renoir exactly. His soul, his mind, how he would do everything. The only thing she changed is his situation. She took him from over here and put him over here. And the insane destructive drive that I have to protect my family no matter what is which family? Is it the real family out in the real world, or is it the real family in the fake world that's not real?
I didn't get that vibe from when we met him there. but like more, I feel like context will come from the furthering that conversation. I'm
like Renoir, like painted Renoir is, I have to protect my family. I will do literally anything to protect my family.
Yes, he keeps talking about that. Yes,
including killing
everything.
In this
it doesn't matter. Yeah, for sure. Right.
Real Renoir is, I will do anything that it can do to protect my family, including killing everyone in this setting, including you, Verso. And because you're painted also.
And so the thought is that, like, because this is where that line comes in, where he's like, he wants his wife and child back, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like there's an unsaid, but perhaps part of this conversation is he doesn't consider any of this to be real.
No, like, it's nonsense. It's fake.
Exactly. And that is the big disagreement point, where it's like, for those that look at this as just a channel for grief and none of it matters, who cares? They're in the real world, and it's incredibly self-destructive. Shut the fucking Minecraft server down. I don't give a shit. What the fuck are you talking about?
And Mael is over here going, no, it's real to me.
Because I lived it, and I literally have 2 memories of this moment, you know, that are equal. They're fighting each other in their importance. It's like, oh, the power of this thing can't be overstated, because if you can come out of that as a painter and be like, I care just as much for what's in here, that is real. You know,
the other thing it's not clear, it's really not clear, but like Aline and Renoir and Clea and Alicia outside the painting don't age. It is unknown to me how much time is taking place there and how much time is taking place here.
Well, I mean, when they talk about hundreds of years or thousands or whatever, and it's
but that's in the painting.
I go paint time is different. That's what I'm assuming, right?
It has to be.
Yeah, of course, right? You can't sit there and not eat forever and just go, right? So yeah, we'll find out and all that, but no, and Clea's like kind of like hard ass sort of nature of things, being super practical.
She's the golden child. She's the eldest.
You're like, okay, you're being pragmatic, but that's not what the situation calls for. And the fact that when you talk to her at the fucking tower and you're just like, you're like, there's a point early on where you're kind of like, I hear what you're saying, but you can be a little more sympathetic. And now you're like, nah, fuck you. Like, I've turned, you know, yeah. So we'll see where this goes, but we'll leave it there for now. Act 3 on its way.
I will say it does feel development-wise that the game was built in a certain way that, like, most of Act 3 either didn't exist or either it didn't exist at all and you were just going to go right from Act 2 right into Old Lumiere and fight Renoir, or a lot of this shit was mainline, like critical path. Like Reacher is the most critical path thing ever. It should be the location you go to right after Act 2. I can't believe it's optional. But it ends up feeling like the world of ruin. It ends up feeling like they ended up with a lot more time to make a lot more game. And we're like, okay, here's a battle tower. Here's this extra dungeon. Here's this dungeon. Here's Renoir's drafts.
Go wander around and find. Yeah. I'm waiting to find out the deal about Verso and what actually went down, to see, it's like, why is she treating Alicia like such a piece of shit? What did she do? How bad?
Go beat the Reacher.
How bad was it? Right?
That is that.
Because it really feels like it's like,
because you talked to Mael and she asked the most important question of the game, which is like, why did Mom draw me scarred up from the fire still?
Okay, yeah. So
everybody gets to be their best selves except for me.
You know, and I'm kind of in the dark on that right now. So yeah, we'll have to go learn. But the impression is you're like, she's being fucking insufferable to her.
Family fucking sucks.
Family is complicated.
And they created an entire matrix like universe of people to dump their trauma onto forever.
Also, we have magical, godlike, deific powers as artists. Now, I want to play piano, though. But you're from the
It really shows off, you know, like, hey, why? Like, because the world is so strange and so slapdash and so broken apart and all that. And it's like, oh, it's an amateur. This is what an amateur would paint.
Man.
This is like a 12-year-old shot. And like, you see what Mom paints, you see what Dad paints, you see what Clea paints, and you're like, oh,
yeah,
Verso didn't know what the fuck he was doing.
No, like, you know, you got the Father and the Holy Spirit being all up in the business of creation, and then JC is like, man, I want to go DJ. Actually,
There's
fuck all
there's a one of the manor doors you can find leads to a dial. It says unknown, but it's Renoir talking, right? One of his little audio
Oh yeah, I
journals.
found that one. I found it. Yeah.
And he starts talking about how like
Art.
when
What
I
art
paint,
is?
there's an
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
an order in the world and everything means something. And like they all just stand around talking about how like Renoir is that kind of asshole who does not understand that you could paint just to do it, just to make happy little trees and a nice sunset. Everything has to mean something and it all has to be so fucking deep. And the characters are all like, oh.
And you learn that Aline is actually the talented one, and that she taught him.
Yeah, and that's why
he's not even that guy. It's her.
And that's why it's not a spoiler to tell you, but like Renoir is like a joke compared to fighting Aline. Like even with the damage cap still on, like he's not his wife.
It's
like
so funny.
She's the talent.
It's so funny. She taught him, and he's all waxing poetic, you know. Wonderful so far. We'll like,
game's incredible.
We'll see where we go from here. All right, spoiler cast over. Take it easy, everybody.
Bye bye.